Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. I am the advocate for the greatest combat sports athlete in history, Brock Lesnar. You want a reason to get the ESPN app? You want a reason to get SummerSlam on the ESPN app? I have one reason for you. Hell in a Cell.
Did you miss me? Did you miss me? I know we didn't do a sit down last night. We had 3 pay-per-views going on, and so many of you were consumed with either 1 or 2 or maybe even all 3. So I sat back and watched as a fan. Actually saw all 4. I got quite a few things to say. I want to welcome you. Monday night, June 29th, 2026. Welcome to your latest edition of the Don Tony Show. I am Don Tony, as always. Thank you very much for joining me. Big shout out to everybody who is live. Big shout to everyone who is on the archive. And man, a pretty interesting 72 hours, I may say. Anyone out there, not trying to sound like a complainer, anybody out there feeling WWE's getting way too comfortable doing something? I understand stipulations aren't always adhered to. I always felt the retirement match could lead to something later on. A loser leaves town doesn't mean that the loser never comes back to the town. Wrestling is entertainment. Sometimes decisions are made that are very unpopular, and sometimes you want to right the wrongs. I get it. But creatively, we all take a step back for a second and think about it. Do you like this new attitude with the WWE? This new attitude that when you can't come up with a clear, concise road to go from point A to point B, we'll just do it anyway, and we'll just change shit up because it's professional wrestling. Case in point, Brock Lesnar takes the shoes off, cries, retires. Now, we know already that this is WWE's way of handling his contract in the future. And it's a smart thing to do. There's no question about it. I love them doing it this way because it gives the perception that Brock Lesnar is not locked into any specific deal. So if Brock doesn't feel like coming back, he's not breaking his contract. If Brock does come back, it's because he wants to. Who's going to tell him no? I like the idea that never say never with Brock Lesnar. I'm not complaining about that, but you're starting to see a lot of other things. Case in point, let's go to Saudi Arabia for a second. Just imagine all of those fans who purchased tickets because they expected that the King and the Queen of the Ring finals, the winner is going to challenge a champion at SummerSlam. It's a pretty big stipulation. We got a tournament. We got slots that are filled. We got people that are on it that probably shouldn't be on it, and we got some people that are not on it that should be on it. And then Seth Rollins loses in the first round. And do you remember what yours truly said when he lost in the first round? Oh, he could still fight Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, right? Because remember, King of the Ring was only going to determine 1 title match, not 2. So the Seth Rollins situation, I don't have too much of an issue with. But you're now starting to see, all right, let's have Oba Femi win the tournament. You have people that are purchasing tickets from Minnesota thinking they're going to see the winner of the King of the Ring challenge the champion. And instead, he's not fighting for the championship. Someone who lost in the tournament earlier is in the championship match. I'm not complaining about what's happening now because those were our original predictions. Our original predictions was Roman and Seth. The original prediction was Brock Oba 3 at SummerSlam, and we are getting that. But they're now doing tournaments and doing matches and doing stipulations and then completely doing a 180, in some cases days later. What was the purpose of doing this King of the Ring tournament if Seth is going to get a title shot anyway, which would have been fine, but Oba's not getting his? Oh, I can have the championship match. The title will always be there. What moron would turn around and say, I'll give up my title match. I want Brock Hell in a Cell. That's moronic. That's dumb. Could Oba fight 2 times at SummerSlam? Sure. But you're not going to have a Hell in a Cell match go 5 minutes, go 7 minutes. This is going to be something, we're not expecting. I can't see Oba Femi fighting the next night anyway, let alone taking on Sami Zayn. And here's the thing, too. Right away, you got people brainstorming right now about Sami Zayn. Ooh, Brock Lesnar may end up taking the title from Sami Zayn. And then Brock Lesnar will defend the undisputed WWE Championship against Oba Femi after all. They are doing things, and then it doesn't end up with the outcome, and they do it anyway. And this is happening a lot more than you think. It happens a lot more than you think. Go back a year ago. Remember, Iyo Sky was the women's champion. You had someone win Elimination Chamber to face Iyo Sky, or Royal Rumble. Whichever one the person won could challenge Iyo. It ends up being a 3-way anyway because somebody insists that they want to be in the match. They just keep we'll do it anyway. But boss, this person is going to win the tournament. Doesn't matter. We'll do it anyway. So I'm curious how you all feel that, WWE, has outcomes, big outcomes, and they just do what they want anyway. I'm just a little curious because that's something we are seeing a lot more often than you realize. And especially when you're doing premium live events, main events, especially when you're talking about cards that only have 5 matches on it, 6 matches on it, and you're doing outcomes and then you just change it because we could change it. I don't know how anybody feels about that. So, all right. You know what? Benjamin says he's fine with it because Jey Uso didn't win King of the Ring. All right. I could take that. We do have a little video in this episode of Jey Uso, and I figured out a way that we won't get hit with copyrights. Did you see the pre-show interview with Jackie Redmond and Jey Uso? He basically, instead of yeeted on the fans, he sheeted on the fans. And sheeted is like a slang way of saying shitted on the fans. He basically told the fans to go to hell. And then I guess he took a step back, and then later on he's like, I take that back. No, you don't take that back. Your initial reaction is always the most genuine. And, it's interesting to see this. It's almost like, like father, like son. Rikishi, oh my God. Rikishi, remember all the bitching and complaining on him? It's Jay. Well, we have some audio and video to share what Jey Uso said. We'll do that later on. We got a lot of stuff to get into. This episode, we will recap Raw. We will get into the fallout from WWE Night of Champions, from AEW Forbidden Door, from NXT Great American Bash, and from TNA Slammiversary. A lot of shit went down this weekend. Not going to do match-by-match breakdowns. We'll be here 9 hours for that. But I will give you my overall thoughts on everything. We also got some wrestling news to get into. We got some discussion, obviously some questions we'll get into, some super shout outs, of course. Now, I do want to mention this right at the beginning because somebody sent this in literally moments before we went live, and I want to answer this right up front. This is the Ronnie. Ronnie says he realized an hour in Raw started early this week. Any reason why, DT? Yes, we got the 4th of July holiday coming up this weekend, and WWE is giving the wrestlers the 4th of July weekend off. So, plus, remember, they're celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, and there's going to be a lot more WWE presence than you realize. So what they're doing is a double taping tonight in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Right now, as we speak, we have SmackDown going on. That's why when Jacob Fatu said, I'm going to go to SmackDown and confront Solo Sikoa, I'm watching, I'm like, wait, he's there now. Why do we have to wait till Friday? Of course, we know the reason why. It's because they're taping later on in the night. You got Jey Uso. Oh, I'm going to challenge Sami Zayn. He's going to be my first opponent. I'm going to be his first challenger for that championship. Why? Because they're there tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about Sami Zayn because for the most part, we got a shitload of predictions correct. There are a few matches we definitely did not get correct. I'll tell you this much in hindsight, and I guess what we could do is let's talk briefly about Night of Champions, Sami Zayn's win, and Brock and Oba, Hell in a Cell, and Roman and Seth. Let's open up with that. Then we'll segue into other topics. We'll see where it goes. But, there's a couple of things. Oh, and we got to call out this. This is going to be fun. Remember last Sunday, we talked about Tommy Dreamer? The accusations, unfair. I think we most agree on that. But something that was told to me by a mystery person. People know what I'm talking about. Tommy Dreamer got lambasted last week on Busted Open because Tommy Dreamer said that he was trying to defend not having Mike Santana win the World Championship last year at Slammiversary in New York. And he said that, look at Bound for Glory, we drew even bigger attendance. And I got pissed because we talked about, I think on Wednesday also, that Busted Open, they sit there and they don't fucking clear it up. They don't challenge it. They just sit there and just let anybody say whatever the fuck they want and they don't fact check nothing. And the fact is that attendance number that you see on your screen right now, 7,794, that was put out the night of Bound for Glory. And that attendance number is higher than Slammiversary of last year. What if I were to tell you that I found out from a very reliable person, and if you remember 20 years ago, Mr. Mystery giving us lots of dirt that a lot of wrestling news sites say, Bafangul, Don Tony, we're not reporting your stuff, and we were right every single time? What if I told you that when Tommy Dreamer got shitted on last year, I'll just mention this now, get it out of the way now. When he got shitted on last year for Slammiversary, because Slammiversary had record attendance in New York, and a shitload of people wanted to see Mike Santana win that title. And yes, wrestling is supposed to break your heart. No question about it. But you had indie guys and wrestlers locally that went because they were expecting Mike Santana to win. And what Tommy Dreamer did was he fucked up last year. And to cover it up, he won at Bound for Glory, Mike Santana. And to cover it up, they made sure that night at Bound for Glory, they were going to put out an attendance number that was higher than Slammiversary so he could say, touche, pussycats, touche. See, we waited. We got an even bigger audience. Until some people decided to contact the town and see how many people actually walked through the turnstile and how many people actually showed up. And that attendance number was 2,000 people too much. They only drew in the fives. My little birdie told me over the weekend that number was put out to try to calm the waters because Tommy Dreamer was getting shitted on last year, or TNA was getting shitted on last year for not putting the belt on Mike Santana. So the idea was, you see, we waited, we drew an even bigger number. So we did the right thing. You put out a fake number because you wanted to say, see, the results were actually the right results. You didn't have that number that night. All right. You don't have attendance like that. WWE, yeah. But if you notice, there's a lot of times that they don't even announce the number. That was a fake number. And that was put out to try to calm the Slammiversary 2025. See? Fucked up. Yeah, TNA's not going to be a number 2 anytime soon. Unless if you call number 2, I did a number 2 in my pants. All right. WWE. Monday Night Raw. Let's get into some shit. Let's talk about Night of Champions. All right. Where do we start? I know where we could start. We could put our little thumbnail on the screen. First of all, the king and the queen of the ring. Something hit me on Saturday that I was very embarrassed at myself for not thinking about this during the week. And when I tell you what that is, I think some of you out there are going to agree that you probably are embarrassed as well. When we realized last Monday that Roman Reigns was not on Raw, and when we realized late last week that Roman Reigns was not in Saudi Arabia, it should have hit me right then and there. If Jey Uso truly is winning King of the Ring, how is the bloodline not there ready to celebrate it? Right? So the fact that Roman Reigns was not in Saudi Arabia, just in case Jey won, is telling. Should have realized that. Should have realized, wait, Roman is not going to be in Saudi Arabia. Why would Roman, with the tightness of the bloodline right now, especially how close the Usos and Roman are, and Jacob Fatu and everything else, how is it that they wouldn't be there for Jey if he wins? I'm not saying that they get involved during the match, but not there at all. That should have been the telltale sign, okay, maybe something is up. Because Roman not being there would be glaring. Just imagine if Jey won the King of the Ring and people like, well, Roman wasn't even there to celebrate it with his family. I think that is something that hit me Friday, and I'm like, you moron, you should have thought about that on the predictions Monday. How could Jey win and Roman not be there? Right? That was the telltale sign to me that maybe Oba will win this after all. And sure enough, Oba Femi does defeat Jey clean. Squeaky clean. So Oba, the ruler, is now going to SummerSlam. And, of course, we know what we know now. He's going to fight Brock Lesnar Hell in a Cell. Now, you're probably saying to yourself right now, why was Oba even in this tournament? Why didn't Brock just sabotage Oba even earlier in the tournament? Well, number one, Oba fighting in Saudi Arabia in a high-profile match, WWE felt was money. Oba is tremendously over. It's not just over in the United States. He is over everywhere. Oba is Oba. No, Oba is over. Oba is over. OBA, OVA. Oba is over. So they wanted to put him in this high-profile match for marquee. But they had no intention on having him actually fight a champion. And I think a lot of us agree that Oba Femi becoming World Heavyweight Champion this early seems a little strange. Now, remember this too. He won the King of the Ring in Saudi Arabia. I guarantee you there are some Saudi fans, I don't know if the government gives a shit, but Saudi fans would be a little pissed off like, wow, we watched this tournament and he's not even going to get the title shot after all. Well, WrestleMania is in Saudi Arabia next year. You think they would dare do something where Oba gets his opportunity next year at WrestleMania? I mean, that would obviously fuck everything up because you got Elimination Chamber that determines a championship match. You got the Royal Rumble that determines a championship match. So Oba being in the match too would kind of fuck things up unless you decide, hey, let's do a three-way. You don't want to do no elimination shit. I don't think they would wait until next year. I wonder, and this is the worst case scenario, my honest opinion. I wonder if Oba just forfeits the King of the Ring opportunity. And that would look stupid. And you think about storyline purposes. Why didn't you incorporate Paul Heyman in this? And I'll tell you what I mean. Listen, we're just throwing ideas out there. A lot of people think Braun Breaker is obviously destined to become world champion. Some people are a little annoyed that Braun Breaker keeps losing. Remember last Monday's show, we brought it to your attention. Braun Breaker has been 0-10 in his last 10 matches. You could add another one to that. 0-11. Why not do something where Paul Heyman makes Oba an offer he can't refuse? Oba, give me that King of the Ring championship opportunity. Give it to Braun Breaker. And in return, I give you Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell, and a silver platter at SummerSlam. I know it sounds half dumb because all Adam Pearce has got to come out there and say, I'm not accepting that. Why should Braun Breaker get the opportunity? All right. You could turn around and say, well, look what happened at the Royal Rumble. You kind of owe Braun Breaker one, right? So you could have done this a little bit more detailed. But I guess they just don't think that deep about it. So in the end, Oba Femi beats Jey clean. And think about this. If you want to add a little to it. I know it's not SummerSlam, but Jey lost King of the Ring. And he's getting a title shot Friday. He's still getting a title shot. What's the purpose of these tournaments for title shots? You lose it, and literally less than a week later, you're getting a title shot anyway. So it's like, let's book the match because it's a big match, and we'll just worry about the bullshit later on. Oh, just it's a good match. Shut up. You like it. Shut up. Stop complaining. It's a good match. Yeah, but what's the purpose of doing it? Shut up. You got it. You got it. Doesn't matter. So now we get to Iyo Sky and Liv Morgan. Iyo Sky obviously was the odds-on favorite to win this. I think everybody and their mother expected that. If you remember when we did predictions last week, there was one thing that I had a problem with Rhea Ripley, and that was this. If Rhea Ripley is no-go for SummerSlam, why did you not address the championship before Night of Champions? Why still have that idea in the back of people's minds that Iyo could be facing her friend or Liv could be going for a double championship against Rhea? I mean, Liv could have still went for a double championship even if fucking Doink the Clown was the women's champion right now. But the point is, why did you not clear up Rhea Ripley's injury prior? SummerSlam is still a month away. And if Rhea, I know some people are going to say to me, well, DT, maybe they waited until the last minute for Queen of the Ring and realized Rhea's a no-go. So listen, SummerSlam is still a month away. The fact that they still have not addressed Rhea Ripley's injury, if it's serious enough that she can't compete at SummerSlam, I don't think this week or last week would have made a difference, because that means a month from now you feel she's still not going to be able to go. So I don't understand why they are just leaving that out there. And if Rhea Ripley ends up having a match after all, this was just a shoddy, sloppy way to handle it. She's the current champion. She's got a banged up knee. Address the situation. They're just hoping people just ignore it. And I think that's a little ridiculous as well. I think it's sloppy. It's obviously sloppy. But Iyo Sky immediately challenging Liv Morgan after Queen of the Ring tells you that there's a very good chance Rhea Ripley is a no-go. And the idea that she challenges Liv this fast, no storyline, no teasing, Io's thinking about it. She's going to make her decision. No. Let's just tell everybody while the carcass is still warm. Let's just tell everybody no suspense immediately. And that's something that I wonder if this is a TKO decision. And I'll tell you why. Anybody remember years ago with AEW? Anybody remember that little bit of controversy that TBS, Warner Brothers Discovery, didn't want like surprises on television? It wasn't something where they wanted things revealed right away, that they wanted it out there quickly. I remember covering that story, that Warner Brothers Discovery wanted things out there quickly. And it sure feels that TKO's doing the same thing. No. Don't tease 2-3 weeks that this could happen. Let's just fucking blow our load immediately. No foreplay, no teasing. Just throw it out there. I'll give you 2 examples. Brock Lesnar, 6 weeks before WrestleMania, shows up on Raw, issues an open challenge. So you think 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're going to tease who it's going to be. Many of us thought it would end up being Oba. Then maybe after 3 weeks, that sets up the match. Then you have the contract signing, a pull apart, the final week leading in, done. No, 1 week. 1 week into Brock's open challenge, Oba shows up and annihilates Brock. Sets up the match. Oba Femi. Penta stops his Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge. Remember that? Penta, Open Challenge. He stops it. The week that Penta stops the Open Challenge, Oba Femi gets on the mic, cuts a promo that a lot of people have forgotten. And Oba Femi says, since one man has stopped his Open Challenge, I will start my own Open Challenge. Remember? And I think Otis came out. We predicted Otis to be the first person. And then what happened? Brock comes out the following week, lays out Oba Femi. Your challenge has been answered. Sounds like Raw 1997. Remember that? Remember the Eliminators giving total elimination on that production guy on Raw? Your challenge has been answered. ECW's in the house. So they're not even waiting. Iyo Sky doesn't even get to fly home to think about it. Not even teasing. Not even having the fans interact online. Iyo, you should challenge your friend. Iyo, you should beat Liv. You beat her tonight, you could do it again. Iyo, you should do this. Gee, WWE Universe, who should I challenge? Let me think about it. Give it a week or two. Let everybody feel like they're involved in it. No. Half hour in, the match is done. Iyo will take on Liv. So what do we even get tonight? Literally, Brock challenges Hell in a Cell. Oba's in the back with Adam Pearce. And literally 2 minutes later, you got this. Online, Triple H, the match is set. They had the poster, everything perfectly done. Yes, it could have been AI. AI only takes 10 seconds to do. But they're not wasting no fucking time. They're not wasting no time. And this is over and over and over again. So I almost feel this is a TKO decision. No. We want these announcements done as early as possibly can so we could spark ticket sales. Why wait 2-3 weeks and then you make the announcement and then everybody scrambles, let me go get tickets. That's what it certainly feels like to me. So, a couple other matches from Night of Champions. And I I definitely want to get into some match times because a lot of controversy today about AEW Forbidden Door. So the other matches at Night of Champions, Seth Rollins beats Braun Breaker in a cage. Longest match of the night, by the way. Excellent match. People are still angry as fuck that Braun Breaker lost again. I would think Seth challenging Roman tonight, you need a decent win to come out of that. So winning at Night of Champions gives Seth a little momentum as to why he should issue the challenge to Roman. But this is now 11. This is actually, I take that back. This is 12 straight losses for Braun Breaker because they lost the tag titles last week. I'll tell you this much. I'm not predicting this. It's just a feeling. It's a feeling. Anyone out there think that Austin Theory might be getting released? Anybody think that Austin Theory might be on his way out? Because what I'm noticing is Austin Theory obviously did the job last week, lost the tag titles. Then today, that exchange with Maxxine Dupri was almost, I felt like I was entering Pollockville, how stupid that was. Because Maxxine showed a little compassion to Chad Gable, Austin Theory's like, maybe this isn't going to work out after all. That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. What is Maxxine Dupri supposed to be doing right now to win, Austin Theory? Don't talk to Chad? If you talk to Chad, then, think about it. What was she just supposed to be, a cunt? Like, you have Tozawa and Otis showing up every time. He's losing. He's having a conniption because Maxxine showed a little empathy to Chad Gable on Raw tonight, but it's okay that she hangs out with loser Tozawa and Otis. Very bizarre exchange. And Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman talking to Adam Pearce. And Austin Theory looks like, I don't even know what it was. Paul, where were you? I didn't know you were here. Paul, it's good to see you. You didn't know I was here. I'm here. And he walks off. And Austin Theory looks like a retard. And I'm looking at all this and I'm like, lost last week. No Braun Breaker today. Looks like a moron in front of Paul Heyman. Gives a weird ultimatum for Maxxine Dupri. I don't know, man. I just wonder if not necessarily the vision is going to be dismantled, but if you're going to get rid of Austin Theory, I mean, Logan Paul is on the shelf for the foreseeable future. I don't care what he says on social media. All right, God is not going to somehow give him powers that he could heal 5 months earlier than expected. Bronson Reed returns, half the man he used to be, and looking like a physical specimen, which is a compliment. You got him and Braun Breaker. That's it. The vision, is a nice terminology and everything, but I don't think WWE wants Braun Breaker to be tied down with Austin Theory right now. And they certainly are not doing it with Logan Paul because of injury and Bronson Reed because he's not ready for a return. So you're going to just keep straddling Braun Breaker with Austin Theory. It sure feels like something is changing right before our very eyes. Right before our very eyes. I like that jumping, Jeff. Blurred vision. Blurred vision. Or that Foreigner song, Double Vision. Oh, double vision. So Braun Breaker losing at Night of Champions should piss off a lot of you out there because that's 12 straight losses that Braun Breaker has had. I'm not worried. Braun Breaker is going to be the cornerstone for the WWE in the future. But right now, obviously, that's not happening. So we had that match. Tiffany Stratton beat Jade Cargill. It was what it was. They wanted to put a women's match on this card besides Queen of the Ring. Jade has improved tremendously. Tiffany Stratton is great. This was a whole hot mess between Chelsea Green and B-Fab and Meechin and Charlotte Flair. It was just a hot mess. That's what this was. It was a decent match, but it was a hot mess. Tiffany Stratton retaining. And then we get to the main event. Sammy winning with a fruit roll-up. I mean, I know some crossroads were done and everything like that, but it's strange. It's very strange that more of us did not think of this possibility, and I'll tell you why. Because in the past, we thought Sammy winning the World Championship in Saudi Arabia might be the perfect place to do it. And yet, when it came to Night of Champions, 95% of us out there did not expect Sammy to win. In fact, when we did our predictions contest on Patreon, nobody picked Sammy to win. Everybody picked Cody to win. Because people, I think, expected Cody versus Jey. And that could still happen. But not for a championship, obviously. Nobody chose Sammy. And then somebody reminded me of a conversation that you and I had on June 14th sit down. Do you remember that conversation? The American villain. The American villain. Now, that's not the phrase I want to use for Sami Zayn, but if you remember on the June 14th sit down, we had a conversation. Could WWE pull off a Sami Zayn like Bret Hart 1997? Because if you remember Bret Hart in 1997, he was a hero in Canada, but was a heel everywhere else, mostly America, because WWE didn't tour as much at that time. So he was the American villain. Bret would just trash our country. Then I thought at that time, could they do that with Sami Zayn? You're going into Saudi Arabia. He is beloved. Obviously, you saw the celebration. You saw all the fans celebrating with him. I mean, people were crying. We had those conversations in the past. You would see fans in Saudi Arabia crying for Sami Zayn. And then we got that. Sammy was 100% babyface for those fans. And you think about Canada as well. And it hit me over the weekend when somebody reminded me of June 14th's conversation. We're about to celebrate our 250th anniversary of the United States. If you were going to have Sammy shit on the United States in any way, shape, or form, you do it now. In the midst of Independence Day, the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of this country. Could they possibly, would they dare do that? Do you think Sammy would be into it? Because WWE is going to Canada sooner than later. And I'm not convinced that Brock Lesnar is going to pull a Kofi Kingston on Sami Zayn. There's some people already brainstorming that because they're trying to figure out how does Oba still get his title shot at SummerSlam if he's facing Brock. Well, Brock could dethrone Sammy prior to SummerSlam. That would give Brock the championship, and then it's title versus career. That's a hot fucking mess to try to put together in 4 weeks. I don't see that happening. But, man, if Sami Zayn came out and cut a promo and just praised Saudi Arabia and just dumped on this country, even praised Canada too, that would be fucking interesting. I don't know if WWE has the balls to do that. Because do you think WWE would want Americans to get angry at Saudi Arabia? I mean, think about it today. You had a few people in Saudi Arabia saying that Sami Zayn became the first Muslim to hold the championship since the Iron Sheik. Go look at social media and see the reaction to that. You know, I get it when you want to talk about the first black heavyweight champion in the WWE, but now we're doing religions. Now we're doing, you know, like, I understand why some people would do that, but you would think Sami Zayn's been in this country long enough and has been accepted as just every day, like you and I, that people have to point out Muslim or bring up, you know, Arabs or, you know what I mean? Like, immediately they go there. And I don't know if WWE has the balls to have Sami Zayn do that, because you turn even heel and make it country versus country. Now, obviously, Sami doesn't speak on behalf of Saudi fans, but you know how that IWC gets toxic. And if Sami starts trashing the United States of America, especially around Independence Day and the 250th anniversary, they will take it out on Saudi. They will take it out on Canada. And especially with a lot of controversy with Canada and the United States, I don't think WWE has the balls to do that. What do you think? Would you want it? Would you want it? I would fucking want it. Because listen, for the most part, a lot of you that tune in, you're smart enough to know what wrestling is. When we watch it, we want our disbeliefs suspended. We want to forget what pro wrestling is. You know, it's going to be interesting when they do season 3 of Unreal and you see a little bit of that AJ Lee Becky interaction. But we like our disbelief suspended for a while. So most of you out there get it. But there's some people out there that get it, but just want a reason to hate. There are people out there that just wait for a reason to hate. I mean, I don't want to bring up the Tommy Dreamer stuff again, but it just keeps sticking in my head when Danny Jordan, nothing against her, she's talented as fuck. But when people started ganging up on Tommy Dreamer, and listen, anybody who follows my shows know, I'm pretty fair with Tommy Dreamer. I will praise him, but I will also shit on him and criticize him. But when she wrote, I waited for this, the fuck is wrong with you? You're having a nice career. All right, the guy rubbed you the wrong way years ago. I waited for this. You literally were waiting for the moment that everybody was going to gang up on shit on this guy so you could do that too. That's weird. That's disturbing. But that is something that a lot of people out there have. I waited for this day. I waited for this moment. I waited for a reason that I could fucking go off on someone. There's a shitload of people like that. And I just think WWE don't have the balls. I don't think they have the balls to do that. But Sami Zayn is the undisputed WWE champion. Jey is going to challenge him almost immediately for SmackDown. That'll end in a clusterfuck, obviously, because you got the LA Knight stuff and the Solo Sikoa stuff going on. But it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. As of right now, I have no clue who would take the title off of Sami Zayn. You're starting to hear the rumors now that CM Punk is going to arrive on SmackDown. That's something we've talked about for a good month and a half. So it's not news for us. But I'll tell you another thing that angers me. And it should anger you also. And that is the pathetic 16 months. Not all of it, but the pathetic use of Gunther over the last 16 months. Yes, he retired AJ Styles. Yes, he quote unquote, we have to use it like that because Goldberg is waiting to, stick the salami up WWE's ass and have a match for AEW or somewhere else. That's coming. He retired Goldberg. He retired the smiling John Cena. There was points where you thought, my God, Gunther was getting toxic heat. Even people that had to lie and exaggerate say that he needed 15 security guards to walk him to his bus. No, it was 2 people. It was 2 people. All right. You thought this guy by now would have gotten death threats. When he was in the car and smiling and doing the you can't see me stuff, Gunther was on his way. And what they're doing to Gunther right now is the same shit they did after WrestleMania 41. he lost the title to Jey Uso. He lost the title to Jey Uso, one of the most disliked videos on YouTube, period. And Gunther disappears. Well-deserved break, no question, disappears. What is the first thing that Gunther does when he returns? This is the man that has been a champion for 80% of his WWE career. So what logically would be the first thing he wants to do when he returns? Oh, I'm a betting man. I know what it is. I'll go after Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. And we had that garbage for 6 weeks. And after where Michael Cole protests that I can't work in these working environment, and Gunther, this has to be addressed, and Pat McAfee is going to fight for Michael Cole. And after the match is over, they're showing respect for each other. Pat McAfee's like, he's a tough son of a bitch. Gunther's like, you had the balls to face me. And I'm like, come on, man. Seriously. That's like if you're married to someone and somebody your wife cheats on you with some other guy and you want to kill the motherfucker. And then, you end up having a confrontation like, well, at least he actually caressed her. He bought her flowers. He treated her nice. I mean, he ruined my marriage, but he was very nice about it. Like, these people are fucking praising each other. Gunther, now, they put him in this, whatever this was with Cody Rhodes. He went to SmackDown. We thought in Italy Gunther was going to be the champion. And they did that bullshit finish with the referee. But we got the marquee match. As long as we get the marquee match, we'll worry about the shit later. We'll put the next card, we'll have a big match on it. People forget. And now you have this. And gee, how are we going to handle Gunther now on a warpath? Oh, he's been sent home because he had an altercation with Nick Aldis. This is how they handle Gunther when it comes to championships. Just when you think there's a little momentum, like, hey, I think actually you should. No. We suspend him. This is how we take. What do we do with Gunther next? Everybody thinks he's going to be the next champion. He's 80%. He's this and that. It kind of reminds me of when Asuka was so up here and she ran into Carmella. And WWE's like, how do we bring Asuka down and have Carmella beat her? Nobody's going to believe that. We'll get James Ellsworth involved and do a lot of this hokey shit. And that'll just quietly bring Asuka back down. This is how they handle Gunther. Everybody expects Gunther to be elite, the top. You put him in matches where he doesn't get pinned. And then when he does lose, instead of being on the warpath and doing everything possible and causing chaos to get his title back, no, he just leaves, whether by force or whether by choice. And it's just moronic. And I don't even, and right away people are like, ooh, Magnus. Nick Aldis versus Gunther at SummerSlam. Book it, Dano. Take my money, as some people say. Oh, Gunther versus Magnus? Take my money. I wouldn't mind seeing it. But that's not how I want Gunther being used. Now batting for Pat McAfee. Number 47, Nick Aldis. You're doing the same shit. You're having him taking his eye off the championship and fighting someone that's not a regular talent. That's certainly what it feels like to me. So out of everything this weekend with WWE, I think the Gunther stuff annoys me the most. The Jey Uso stuff, I'm glad he didn't win King of the Ring. He's going to get a title match anyway. That's okay. Clusterfuck City is coming. Atlantic City, me Clusterfuck City. But I can't stand what they're doing good. And what happens with Cody Rhodes now? What happens with Cody Rhodes? QB1. He's not taking time off. He's not taking time off. So what does QB1 do? What does he do? Is he going to get a rematch at Saturday night's main event? If CM Punk returns, why would CM Punk want to get into a program with Cody Rhodes now? There's no championship on the line. Are you going to do a 6-pack challenge, a 5-way, a 4-way? Because now it just feels like suddenly Sami Zayn is world champion, and I'm fine with it. Sami Zayn, I am fine with him getting an opportunity as the undisputed WWE champion. Interesting, he doesn't get his WrestleMania moment because everybody thought he would finish his story at WrestleMania. But this is fine with me. But suddenly, doesn't it feel like there's like no viable threat for Sami Zayn? There's no viable threat. Because Gunther, they suspended. I don't know how they're going to handle Cody. And you look at the others that are on that brand. Royce Keys is not going to be a threat right now. Nothing against him, but it doesn't make sense. Suddenly, Sami Zayn is a champion, and you look around, and there's no real threats to his throne. And I don't know if CM Punk is that answer. Because CM Punk dethroning Sami Zayn, does anybody truly feel that? I don't. CM Punk had a tremendous run last year. But you can't simply just fill out the final years of CM Punk's run by just putting titles on him all the time. The challenge with older wrestlers is having them have matches and opponents where there's no championships on the line. I'll tell you something else that I'm very thrilled about. I mean, yes, I'm thrilled that Oba is fighting Brock because I don't think Oba should be world champion this soon. Next year, fine. I personally think if you're going to give a world championship, I think Braun deserves a run before Oba does, with all due respect. So I'm fine with Oba Brock in Hell in a Cell because that's what we wanted in the first place. So I'm happy with that. I am happy that Seth Rollins is facing Roman Reigns because at least we know for the next 4 weeks, finally, Roman is not with family because we were worried that whole summer was going to be Roman mingling with family. This is why he's back. If you saw tonight, I don't remember what website put it up there, but they reported that Roman is going to main event Raw. And most people were rolling their eyes like, what do you mean by main event? Is he having a match or is he just going to talk? People are kind of tired of the talk. And sure enough, what does he do? He comes out and he talks. So for the next 4 weeks, he's going to talk. And I'm sure they'll be cutting promos about the Shield and someone will drop the Mox bomb and people, oh, he mentioned Moxley. They'll do that. And I'm sure there'll be a pull apart. There'll be some jabs thrown each way. Tonight, it was mutual respect. You know, when we were young and hungry, we threw the old generation out, as Seth Rollins said, and we took the ball and we ran with it, this and that. Now we're older. We're closer to the end than we were at the beginning. And this is why, Roman, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer. Hell, you should have your own Hall of Fame ceremony. I might even be the one to induct you. But you are not going to escape the fact that you have never beaten me. You have to do this. And I don't know how much time is left. Now, people are going to clickbait that shit tonight, my friends. Be prepared. Seth retiring? Seth contemplating retirement? Anybody that does that, take this finger. I know it's not brown, but stick it far up your ass. The idea is that they want the fans to think that this might be the only time Seth Rollins gets to face Roman Reigns again. It doesn't mean anybody's retiring anytime soon. I like the way it was done tonight. I thought it was done very, very well. Roman accepting quickly made sense. This is not something like Gunther and Sami Zayn from a couple of years ago. No, I will not fight you. No. 4 or 5 weeks straight. No. And then Sami, you coward. You called me coward. I fight you. You're like, come on, man. That's baby shit. Yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones, but calling me a coward, I'd fight you at WrestleMania. You're like, tonight, the Seth Rollins promo made sense. The only thing I didn't like about it is Roman's beating his ass. Roman ain't losing that championship to Seth Rollins. Because when you plant that seed that you never beat me, man, I own you. You never beat me, man. This might be your last shot, man. Man, little brother, big brother, man, this might be your only shot. You will never get it past you. You can't beat me, man. Oh, he's beating him. Oh, you got to get that one win. It's kind of like when Cody Rhodes beat Seth Rollins, 3 times in a row? They had I think the 4th match, you can't beat me, Seth. You can't beat me, Seth. What happened? So, that's coming. But it's a breath of fresh air. Finally, someone else. Now, unfortunately, remember Roman's promo, Royce Keys, LA Knight. You want to talk a bit shit about family, blah, 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 blah. That's not happening. Seth Rollins is probably going to be the closest. It's probably going to be the closest. Unless they do a briefcase down the line. I don't know. I don't know who Roman drops the title to. I just don't think it's going to be Seth. Because Seth planted way too many seeds tonight that Roman has to get one win. Can't let Roman go into retirement or Seth go into retirement and Roman has never beaten Seth once. So they kept pushing that fact tonight. Something tells me that fact will be kind of like ignored a little bit in the next bunch of weeks because you want to give the suspension of disbelief that Seth could beat him. And I get it. I know some of you are like, well, of course, Don Tony, Seth has always beat him, so just by default, Seth is the favorite to win. No. This is WWE. Just when you think we go left, we go right, even though we're not. It's like WWE makes a right turn and goes wrong in a wrong one-way street. But that's okay. There's no cops around. We'll go down the one-way street anyway, because once we get to the corner and we make the turn, we're back on the regular road. So we'll just go down the wrong block anyway because we can. That's what they do. Swabby Sean says he thinks Roman is going to get the win at SummerSlam, but how long does he hold that title? Yeah. That's the thing. Maybe into some. Listen, Roman Reigns at this point could fucking be around until WrestleMania 77. What it? Arrive, talk, leave. Arrive, talk, leave. Arrive, talk, pull apart, leave. Arrive, talk, leave. Arrive, sign contract, leave. Think about how many weeks he's been on TV. And you take away 2-3 little pull aparts. You had the pull apart with CM Punk. You had the pull apart with Jacob Fatu. And then you take away from that, it's like 90% of Roman Reigns' usage is talk. That's all it is talk. Gee, he's on TV every week. Oh, that's nice. Let me guess. What is he going to do this week? They should start doing betting odds for what will Roman do tonight? What are the odds that Roman just talks? Tell me when I'm telling lies. Is that the phrase? Tell me when I'm telling lies, damn it. So, congratulations to Sami Zayn. Definitely deserved. Hopefully his run is good. Let's see what they do with his character. I want to see if WWE has the balls. Seriously, that Shawn Michaels animated file, that's what I want to see. I want to see if WWE has the balls to do that. So, all right. We need to speed this up a little bit, obviously, because we talked a shitload. But obviously, this is important. Brock Oba Hell in a Cell is big. Seth Roman SummerSlam is big. Iyo Liv is big because I think there's a good chance Iyo could get that championship. These are big matches. These are very important matches. And, SummerSlam is going to turn out to be something pretty damn solid. Obviously, there's a lot of holes that need to be filled. I will tell you, on the other shows, the fallout is a lot easier to describe. Because Forbidden Door is about AEW and New Japan and Stardom. And, it's like a lot of these people aren't going to be around after 2 more weeks. So it wasn't like you were really building storylines out of this. Yes, Ospreay versus MJF at Wembley, More than likely. Thekla versus Mercedes Moné at Wembley? More than likely. Absolutely. Outside of that, there's not really much else that was built out of this. MJF is going to end up fighting Mark Briscoe probably on Dynamite, and they'll get that shit out of the way. We knew that was coming. I think the only prediction we got wrong for that night was we thought Mystico's team was going to win because you want to give a little rub to the fucking Latino team, especially the relation with Latin America, but they didn't do that. So we'll get into match results in a few moments. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. We'll get into match results now. Get shit out of the way. I do want to congratulate Darby Allin, though. Darby Allin got married. He got married. And did anybody see, the video from his wedding? Her name is Sarah. Sarah Smile. It was a nice wedding, but they kind of lost it when his mother body slammed him on thumbtacks. And then they literally ripped his father's shirt off, and I think Brody King was giving him chops. I mean, I think we kind of agree that Darby Allin is a very, very interesting guy to hang out with. He's kind of like the non-alcoholic Ric Flair. You go out with Ric Flair, it's like an experience you never forget. I think hanging out with Darby Allin is like that as well. But that is one weird family. And I say that complimentary. 4 years ago, I had a totally different view on Darby Allin. With all the stunts and the shit he was doing outside of wrestling, I expected him to fucking have an Evan Bourne moment. Kind of like Evan Bourne meets Jeff Hardy. Just a really bad... Let me put it this way. You saw that tragedy recently, I think in Brazil, where the woman went bungee jumping. Did you see that video where the woman went bungee jumping? And the guys that ran the thing, they picked her up and they throw her off the cliff. And then they realize, we forgot to tie the rope. And she fell to her death. They literally threw her off and they're looking down like, somebody forgot to tie the rope. Now, you would think the woman would have been like, the rope is not tied to my ankles. Guys, I don't feel any rope tied to my ankles. Guys, nobody says nothing. She literally just picked her and threw. I expected that with Darby Allin. I expected Darby Allin to be like, I forgot to tie it. Literally jump off a cliff, bungee jumping, and he's on his way down. He's like, I think I forgot to tie it up. I expected a horrible tragedy with Darby Allin. It hasn't happened. Thank God. I am now a fan of Darby Allin. So, but, talk about match times. Get a load of this. I'll throw this out there for you right now. First of all, WWE Night of Champions, the total match time as far as the matches go, I think it was about, here it is. It was 79 minutes of wrestling. WWE Night of Champions had 79 minutes of wrestling. 1 hour, 19 minutes. The least amongst all four shows this weekend. NXT, Great American Bash, had 93 minutes of wrestling. TNA Slammiversary had 108 minutes of wrestling. And AEW Forbidden Door had 237 minutes of wrestling. Just let that sink in. WWE had 80. AEW had 240. That's 3 premium live events in one. I get it. You get your money's worth. There's no question about it. But there is just an exhausting factor about that. I just personally, put it this way. Imagine being in a relationship and every time you go out, you got to fucking stop everything and just put on an unbelievable, or even, in your personal life or your sex life, everything has got to be like the top of the top. There's going to get to a point where you get numb of that. It's kind of like horror films. And you start watching horror films all the time and you get numb to it. Like, what's going to get me, what's going to get me that mental high from watching a slasher film? You see so many of it over and over again. And I think this idea of 240 minutes of wrestling, when you start pulling back a little bit, people are going to complain and people are going to feel ripped off. Even if you gave them 150 minutes of wrestling, people would feel ripped off. People, how come you didn't put this person on? Oh, we need the 75 wrestlers on the show. I think, listen, I worked for Frank Goodman for several years, USA Pro Wrestling. And you look at any old shoot interviews from back in the day, even CM Punk and others, they used to say the same thing. This fucking guy puts on 6-hour shows. Every shoot interview, Raven, New Age Outlaws, anybody you want, Al Snow, just fucking 6-hour shows. Fucking guy puts 22 matches on the show. Mass Maniac's mentality at that time was give everybody a little something. He would put 5-6-hour shows. It would start at 7 o'clock at night. It wouldn't finish till 1:30 in the morning. People would be fucking exhausted after that. Here, it's the same idea. You try to justify, well, they're paying $60, $50. I mean, they should get 4 hours. But I think when everybody has 20-minute matches, because that's the thing. You look at this card and you look at the times of the matches. Drilla Maloney over Daniel Garcia, 10.5 minutes. Why? On a pre-show, why? It's fine to have long matches, but it also says something when somebody can't just fucking beat somebody quickly. When it's a struggle. Like every pay-per-view, like people should win matches 2-3 minutes once in a while. How is someone dominant, but then their matches are 20 minutes long every time? I get it, it's a classic. I get it's a work of art and this and that, fight forever. But, after a while, you realize, hey, why do I need, 200 pitches, to pitch a game? Why do I need to do all this to get this? Less is more sometimes. So Micah over Sky Blue in the survival of the fittest qualifying match, 9.5 minutes. Megan Bain and Lena Cross retain the women's tag titles over Thunder Rosa and Olympia, 11 minutes. The Young Bucks over Místico and Máscara Dorada. That was the team that's my prediction I got wrong. And Shingo Takagi and Titan, 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr. Omega won. Excellent match, 27 minutes. Match like that, I could see go long. But a lot of these matches should have gone half the time. You had Moxley retain the Continental Championship over Bandito in 18 minutes. Hoto Umino retains the IWGP Global Championship over Pac, which we expected, 18 minutes. Thekla retains the women's title over Starlight Kid, 18.5 minutes. Cope and Cage retain the tag titles over the Dogs, 17 minutes. Mercedes Moné wins the Owen Hart tournament, 25 minutes long. Team Briscoe over MJF's team, 31 minutes in the cage. And Will Ospreay wins the Owen Hart final over Swerve, 36 minutes. To me, I think that's extreme. That's extreme. Excellent card. Great matches, no question about it. But I think once in a while, give somebody the night off. I don't know. Very quickly, NXT Great American Bash. I was fearing that Tony D'Angelo would win. I was rooting for Naraku. That match opened up, and I was like, fuck. It's opening up. And that match, to me, was very, very underwhelming. Did not like that match at all. Tony D'Angelo retains in 10 minutes. Zarya retains the North American Championship over Tatum Paxley, 14 minutes. Charlotte Hill over Tristan Angels, 13 minutes. Ren Sinclair retained the speed title over Ariana Grace. If you remember our predictions, we nailed everything except for the main event, the Women's Championship. Ariana Grace is not good at having 3-minute matches, unless her opponent is just the drizzling shits. Saquon Sugars over Dean Lennox, 14 minutes, 20 seconds. Miles Bourne retained the North American title over Tavian Heights in 17 minutes. And the main event. I was surprised as fuck. Kendall Gray wins the women's championship over Lola Vice in 15 minutes. Some attempted clusterfuck in this, but for the most part, it was straight up clean. I wonder what is next for Lola Vice, because NXT right now, it's developmental. It's developmental, and people need to remember that. Some of the storylines are shitty. Some of it is just throw it on the wall, see if it sticks. Let's experiment with some characters. That's what you do in developmental. Sometimes you have a third baseman and it isn't doing all that well. Let's see if we could convert him into a second baseman. You know, something isn't working here. Let's try this. Let's test this. You want to test it in developmental, not on the main roster. You look at JD McDonagh tonight on Raw. I honestly thought they were going to do a fucking hilarious storyline with him getting electrocuted. Maybe they were kind of like, you know, we can't do what we did with Goldust. You know, we can't do the Tourette's. No, that'll offend the Tourette audience out there. Can't have JD McDonagh. You're like, dumb. Can't do that in 2026. So now it's like, what is it? Every week, JD McDonagh is going to be like, who's that kid on South Park? The one that kept dying? Like, is he just every week going to run into some type of fumble? Last week, he's electrocuted. Today, he gets a bunch of powder thrown in his face. You know, he's electrocuted. Now he can't see. Next week, he can't hear. Next week, he can't. The week after, he can't pee. A week after that, he can't walk. Week after that, he can't talk. Like, is that where we're going with this? Kenny. Is that what is JD going to be the next Kenny? I don't know. But Lola Vice, I'm very curious to see where they go from here. Kendall Gray is tremendous, man. A lot of you out there sing the praise of Kendall Gray. Definitely love her work. Don't know if the leader of the women's division, the way NXT is right now, is the right way to go, because you still have to put on some decent ratings and you still have to get some ticket sales, because not everything is in the Performance Center. And Lord knows, I've said this last week, I said it the week before, why the fuck did they do this show the same night as All In? Especially on a Nielsen channel. Because that rating is coming in. And that rating, I think, is going to be shitty. I just can't see it having a decent rating. And if it does draw a shitty rating, people are going to be like, why did you put that on that night? All right, you want to do a special? Do it next Sunday. Do it last Sunday. Do it next Saturday. Why do it against All In? And then we found out about this. There's going to be, I have the press release here, NXT Heatwave and AAA are going to run on the same night against AEW All In. And not only are they running on the same night, the shows are going to be in the same building, back to back. So they're going to have, and this is interesting, they're going to have AAA on first. And then for the people that are there, don't leave your seat. Now we're going to give you NXT Heatwave. So that's what they're doing. Now, the AAA event is just a TV taping. So that AAA event is probably going to be an hour. Maybe an hour and 15 minutes of entertainment. This is not a full-blown pay-per-view. This is just AAA doing their TV and then NXT Heatwave. But why do that against All In? All right. And especially Heatwave, that's going to be on CW also. I mean, don't you want your premium live events to have premium ratings? Why make people split? That's one of the reasons why I didn't do a show yesterday. I had contacted a bunch of you out there that hang out with me on Sunday nights. I'm like, should I do a show? And I'm like, what are you doing? And most people are like, oh, I'm going to watch Forbidden Door. Most people said that. A couple of you said NXT, not many. But people were going to watch something. And it's like, you know, why have, you know, that much going on at the same time? For what? I even saw social media last night. And you saw some people out there that was completely focused on AEW Forbidden Door and totally ignored NXT. Why wouldn't you want all your eyes on NXT? by itself. Why split that with AEW? You're not hurting AEW's pay-per-view numbers. Because guess what? When CW's rating comes out, it comes out for Sunday night. It doesn't come out for, I watched the replay on Tuesday. No, it's your Sunday night rating. When it comes to AEW All In, Forbidden Door, if somebody doesn't watch it Sunday night and they're like, I'm going to watch NXT instead, well, they can order the pay-per-view on Monday. They could order on Tuesday. When Meltzer lies about the AEW buy rate, it's the total buys. It's not just Sunday night's buy. He doesn't tell you Sunday night's buy was 77,000 buys. The overall was 156,000. No, you just take the total buys. Whether you bought it on a Sunday, you bought it on a Tuesday, you bought it. That's all that matters. So WWE's not hurting AEW because if somebody wants to watch it, they'll order it the next day. They'll order it and watch it at their leisure. With CW, the rating is the night it airs, and that's it. So I don't get that. To me, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid on WWE's part, and I'm surprised CW goes along with it. Very surprised. You would think CW would be like, why would we do it on this night against an AEW pay-per-view? Like, I don't see the CW executives are like, fuck Tony Khan, where's my darts? Like, I don't think they think like that. I think they want to have, as much audience, plus that is appealing to advertisers. Plus, CW has that deal with ESPN now, that NXT runs on ESPN also. And how does CW make money? Well, the advertising. The commercials that air, CW gets the majority of the revenue. So why would you put it on a night where you're going to get less revenue on that night because people are tuning into AEW instead? I don't get that. So, all right. If we wrap up our quick little replay with TNA, Slammiversary, I thought overall, and I'm saying this sincerely, I thought overall, even though some matches I wasn't extremely interested in, I thought this had, of all four events, the right balance. 10 matches, 2 of them pre-show, 8 matches on the main card. Some of the outcomes I did not like. I definitely got one of them wrong. Actually, no, I got 3 of them wrong. What am I saying? I got 3 of them wrong. I don't care if I get things wrong. I like sometimes being surprised. I thought this had the best balance of everything. And then we obviously found out about some Hall of Fame announcements. I'm just curious to see where Mike Santana goes from here. Elena Black beat Indy Hartwell and Mara Sade. Triple threat match only went 5 minutes. To me, that went too short. Ricky Sozo over Eric Young. That was a match we kind of knew that Kevin's neighbor, God rest his soul, was going to lose. 6 minutes. Cedric Alexander, as we expected, retained the X Division Championship. Beat Amazing Red, Fabian Aichner, the former Giovanni Vinci, Frankie Kazarian, Casey Navarro, Leon Slater, and Mr. Elegance. Elijah beat AJ Francis. When we did predictions the other day, they didn't have that stipulation official that Elias's likeness and the music was on the line. I was like, no, he's not losing all of that. You're not going to ruin a gimmick that kind of works pretty easy when you need it. So Elijah gets the win there. This was surprising. Rosemary and Allie win the Knockouts tag titles, defeating the Elegance blend. The Elegance brand. Their brand. The Bland brand. Say that fast 10 times. So, Rosemary and Allie, I'm happy for Rosemary. Allie obviously didn't get to showcase more than what she can do in AEW, but that's a nice team, and I'm happy for Rosemary, even though I didn't see that coming. For the International Championship, Mustafa Ali retains, won a 3-way, defeating Rich Swann and Apollo. Oh, excuse me. Ooh-ah. Don't call me Apollo Crews anymore. Ooh-ah Nation. And by the way, that's Apollo Crews' last name. That's where you get the ooh-ah from. He is now in TNA. Moose over Eddie Edwards in a no surrender match. Xia Brookside wins the women's championship over Lei Ying Lee. That I didn't see coming. Very interesting. By the way, Moose's win was 13 minutes. Mustafa Ali's was 10 minutes. The women's tag match was 9 minutes. The matches were very close to each other. Every match on the card was between 9 and 13 minutes, with the exception of the main event. We'll get to main event. Broken Hardys. I honestly thought the Righteous were going to win those belts. But for some reason, they put those belts right back on the Hardys again. The Hardys win the tag titles once again in a four-way ladder match. They defeated the System of Brian Myers and Bear Bronson, who were the champions, the Righteous, and Jason Hotch and John Schuyler. So, listen, you can't go wrong with the Hardys being tag champs, but I kind of thought like this is the Righteous. The Righteous would have been the right move, but they didn't do that. And Nick Nemeth, as many of us expected, won back the TNA World Championship, defeating Mike Santana. 15 minutes. This was Nemeth's Call Your Shot championship match. And I think Mike Santana's future in TNA is questionable. I don't want to say he's a goner, but especially surrounding the recent controversy, take the title off anyway, is very interesting. Now, obviously, a little sentimental for yours truly. Before the match happened, they did a little video thing, Mike Santana writing in a book, and we learned that Conan is being inducted in the TNA Hall of Fame. And obviously that warms my heart because of my relationship with Conan in the past. A lot of you know, I don't need to bring it up. Especially what happened way back when. If you would have told me one day Conan would be put in the Hall of Fame, I would have said, you're nuts. And I bet you Conan, sometime, somewhere on his K100, he's going to say, if you would have told me that I'd be put in the TNA Hall of Fame one day, you would have said it was nuts. Because there was lawsuits and there was some wild shit. They didn't pay for certain things. You know the deal. I never in a million years ever thought that they would put Conan in. But remember, Conan is in very, very poor health. Very poor health. And, you know, I can only imagine, not just physically, but mentally, what it's like to lose your legs. I can't fathom that. That man, even when I got to know him, you know, many years ago, and my God, it's how many years now? 18 years since we did that. You know, never ever envisioned this. I mean, we always knew about the kidney issues, never thought it would turn to this. So this is a nice thing to see, and it's very emotional. And you know, it's gonna be extremely sad. You're gonna see people crying, you know, because he is in rough shape. And, you know, my heart goes out to him. I wish there was some way I can help him still, but, you know, my work was done at that time. And very, very good man. Very, very, you know, like hard surface. But if you could get past that hard surface, and I'm sorry for saying his first name, but I want to say it anyway. You get past that hard surface, Charles is a wonderful man. Charles is a very wonderful man. And I'm glad he's going in. Also, someone else. Obviously, I feel old when I say I grew up watching him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in my 30s watching him, but when he was with the SATs back in the early to mid 2000s, I mean, any of you remember my intro from the Blackheart Sports Entertainment Hotline? The one with the XPW music in the background? Who's the first person you hear plugging our show? Red from the SATs. I mean, I go back the early days of Red. And sure, being involved with House of Glory is part of it. But Red going in the Hall of Fame, especially back then, you know, breakthrough to TNA, somebody that small, was not easy to do. I mean, Ray definitely broke barriers in WWE, but even on, you know, Indies is one thing, but when TNA was branching out, they were giving a lot of smaller guys an opportunity, that hence the X division, you know, kicking off. Red was a very big part of it. But me, I go back to when Red was with the SATs, Jose and Joel Maximo. And this guy is definitely deserving to be in the TNA Hall of Fame. So those are being put in. So congrats to both of them. So that was your recap for the 4 events. Very, very hectic week, I should say. All right, let me clear out some of my notes. Let's answer a couple of questions. We'll recap Raw. We definitely have to mention a news tidbit in a moment. I don't know if I'm going to talk about the Linda McMahon stuff. Somebody asked me to bring up the Linda McMahon stuff. That's kind of stupid, that shit that's going on. I just want to mention this also. You saw at the beginning of the show that I posted the graphic for Joe Doring. If you heard Wednesday Night Dynamite, you knew this was going to happen this quickly. I think some people still don't understand when you go to hospice what that ends up. And the minute we learned that Joe Doring was going into hospice because of his brain cancer, that's the end. It's now just a matter of numbing the pain, saying your goodbyes. I just went through it. I lost my father-in-law 6 weeks ago, and he went into home hospice. He lasted about 2 weeks, but it was not an easy 2 weeks to see someone in that condition. And he died because colon cancer spread to his lungs. And he never left his bed once, had to be on big-time oxygen. And, you know, all they could do is just spend time and, you know, make him as comfortable as possible. In the end, you had to give him morphine to numb the pain and then just stop breathing. And unfortunately for Joe Doring, I said that on Wednesday. I said, if you were a fan of his, or, you know, if you were a friend of his, or if you just want to thank him for what he did, don't wait. Don't wait, because, you know, I said by next week we're probably going to have this news. And sure enough, I think it was a day later, he was gone. 44 years old, man. 44. And the brain cancer happened 10 years ago. So he was 34 years old when he got brain cancer. I mean, that's hard, man. I don't care if you've never saw him before. I mean, I remember him in TNA 20 years ago. I remember him in TNA 20 years ago. Like, who that? Who that? And he was in there for a cup of coffee. I think he got a lot more play in All Japan for a while. Then he came back to TNA years later. But still, when you hear that story and you hear, you know, the battling for 10 years, you know, just imagine getting brain cancer and you think you beat it. And then it comes back a couple of years later. And then you think you beat it again. And then it comes back a third time, and that's it. It just takes over, and there's nothing you could do about it. That's why whenever I hear the C word, it scares the shit out of me, man. It scares the shit out of me. But I just want to send my condolences to him, to his family, friends, fans, anybody. So rest in peace, Tim. Rest in peace. Okay. Just for the hell of it, if anybody on video, look at your screen. Mercedes Moné posted that photo on her social media, her Instagram. Very interesting because obviously it's a Photoshop of AEW Wrestle Dream that happens in October. And she is shown herself with the Women's World Championship. And on her right is Davina Rose, who you better know as Bayley. Now, remember the rumors of Bayley's future in the WWE. You and I have had some conversations about Bayley and Lyra Valkyria the last 2 months. Didn't we make a prediction a month ago that before the summer's over, that team would be split? So now, not only are they split, but it feels like they're doing the momentum with Lyra. So I'm not saying that Bayley is a goner, but let me tell you something. I think Bayley would be close to the equivalent of when R-Truth was released. I think Bayley is one that many people would have thought would be a lifer there. Like, I'm not trying to throw shade at Natty, but many people feel that Natty sooner or later is going to be cut, and Natty, like they always work something out that she still sticks around in some capacity. You would have thought at some capacity they would keep Bayley around, but the thing is, we don't know how much she makes. And if they're paying her what some people believe they're paying her, you could easily picture TKO saying, we're not paying that. And if I'm Bayley and they tell me 50%, and listen, one thing I think people need to realize, and this is kind of a common sense thing, but you got to think about it too. Just because that 50% number came out with the New Day and a few other names, doesn't mean it's always 50%. There is no clause in the contract that, hey, if we want to at any time, we could tell you we're going to cut your salary in half. If TKO thinks you're only worth 30%, they'll turn around and say, hey, listen, we gave you $1 million. We're not using you anywhere near. We'll give you $300,000. Otherwise, we're going to have to let you go. So don't think immediately that TKO could be telling Bayley, got to take a 50% pay cut. If they think she is being grossly overpaid, they could turn around and tell you 80% pay cut. Listen, if I want to be a scumbag, if Baron Corbin was still in that company and I worked for TKO, I literally would beg them, please, let me handle Baron Corbin. Baron, you're making $1 million. We're going to have to cut your salary if you want to stay here. In fact, if you want to stay in the W, you have to pay me, bitch. You have to give me fucking $1 million. Get on your knees, fucking kiss my feet, and give me $100,000. Give me the keys for that Ferrari that you shoved in our faces back in the day. You want to stay here, you fucking pay me. Like, of course, TKO is not going to do that, but they can cut as much as they want. Don't think it's 50% or nothing. They can cut a lot more, and they could cut a lot less. Plus, I'm sure there's some negotiation as well. I don't think it's take it or leave it. Could we cut a deal? How's about, you cut 40% instead of 50%? It's not like an eBay auction, like buy it now, and you email the person, hey, how's about I give you 60%? Do you understand what buy it now means? Does it say best offer? No, it doesn't. So you want it? You buy it now. Don't DM me and say, can you take 70%? If I wanted 70%, I would have put a best offer. So makes you wonder what Bayley's future will be. Would not surprise me if Bayley ends up in AEW. Would not surprise me. Because TKO doesn't have that personal tie with a lot of these wrestlers. Bayley to them is a file. She is a name. She is an employee. Independent contractor, whatever you want to call her. It's no guarantee that she stays there forever. So, all right, Zilla Fatu is rumored, if he hasn't signed already, is about to sign with the WWE. Makes me wonder if Zilla Fatu aligns with Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga, or maybe even with Jacob Fatu. It's not Jacob Fatu, Solo Sikoa in their future. I mean, I think he fits in somewhere there. That's if they keep Tala Tonga and Tama Tonga. I'm not saying that they're going to be released anytime soon, but I don't see Tama Tonga in that company 5 years from now. And Tala Tonga, sorry, man. Sorry. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I kind of like, if they did the Oddities 2.0, maybe he could be in the Oddities, but I just don't see it. So, maybe you could do a team of Tama Tonga and Zilla Fatu, or even Solo Sikoa and Zilla Fatu. I think that'd be a pretty nice tag team. Not necessarily do like a new version of the Head Shrinkers or the Samoan SWAT team, but I think you could definitely see a little potential there. So we'll see what happens. Starting this week, SmackDown goes back to 2 hours. And listen, since everybody in the media world's got to play footsie with their fellow journalists, Meltzer did not break the story that it goes back to 2 hours the first week in July. All right. Remember this. SmackDown goes 3 hours, January 1. 26 weeks later, it goes back to 2 hours. This is the current arrangement. So you can mark it down on your calendar right now. If you would want to play that game, you heard it here first. January 1st, 2027 is a Friday. The first SmackDown of 2027 will be a 3-hour bonanza. It's meth. It's not breaking. It's not exclusive. It's fucking meth. Count 26 weeks. Hey, Siri, what's 26 weeks after January 1st? Well, it's July 4th, July 3rd. That's all it is. There's no secret to that. There's no exclusive. No one in TKO is going to turn around and, hey, Dave, we're going back to 3 hours. We're going back to 2 hours on July 3rd. WWE filed for the trademark Bakusai. Bakusai. Some places misspelled it and left the I out, and I thought it was Bakuza. And I was like, ooh, that sounds like Yakuza. Bakuza. Are we going to get like a Japanese mafia group? Maybe Evil's going to bring in some of his posse. Are we going to get like a Japanese? And then I looked a little bit further and I'm like, oh, shit, it's not Bakuza. It's Bakuzai. So they have just filed to trademark Bakuzai. Something tells me it's not a AAA team. Something tells me it's not a Muslim team. Something tells me it's not an Italian team. Something tells me it's a Japanese team, an Asian team. So we shall see. One last news tidbit. Actually, two. We still got Jey Uso hate. We'll close out the show with the Jey Uso hate. Jey Uso told you out there, the ones who criticize him, basically told you, go fuck yourself. Basically did. We'll share the video. Piper Niven revealed a little bit more about the neck surgery that she had. She had the option of getting a C5 and C6 fusion, but that would have been the end of her career. So she is planning some type of a return to the ring. When that happens, nobody knows. But obviously she's going through some real deep shit right now. But hopefully there is good news on the horizon with her. She wants to return. You know, you hear Big E doing these interviews now because he's got the book coming out. Big E, you know, he's not returning. He is not going to take the chance of possibly falling the wrong way, whether by his doing or something else or just a slip, and turns into a vegetable. I don't. He doesn't want that. He doesn't want to take that chance. He's at peace. So, the other thing I wanted to bring up, and this is definitely something interesting. Randy Orton. I don't know if you should read into this or not. He was scheduled for Fanatics, and Fanatics is a big fucking deal. I mean, if you look, I was looking at those prices. I mean, it's insane. Just to take a picture is $130. Some people at $200. You'd be surprised. Some people like Braun Breaker and I think Iyo Sky and a few others, their prices are so cheap. You see some people like $70, and that's still expensive. I remember doing Polaroids, you know, not me, but taking Polaroids for some wrestlers because I used to have the Polaroid camera. I'd be like, hey, de Blasi, don't forget your camera next show. Because I'd have the Polaroid and I have all the films. So they didn't have a Polaroid, so they'd take pictures with fans, charge $20, and they'd slap me $5 in return. They get $15 for a fucking Polaroid. Now they charge $150, and if you want an email, it's another $30. So Randy Orton is off of Fanatics. He was advertised for 1 a day or 2 days. I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, but he was advertised, and they pulled him. No idea why, but people are calling this a big deal because the amount of money that's made at Fanatics is not small. Is not small. And the fact that he is removed from Fanatics is a big deal. It's a very big deal. So I just wanted to mention that for anybody that was looking to go and maybe even, you know, meet Randy Orton and take a picture. So, all right. There's a couple other little TNA tidbits and stuff like that. We'll talk about it on Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. We'll definitely get into it there. Let me give a couple of super shout outs and we'll recap Raw. And we'll call it a night. We'll call it a night. Raw will be very easy to recap today because a lot of it we talked about already. But there's a couple of things that definitely I found quite interesting. Some of it was kind of dumb, but just with the SmackDown taping going on tonight, obviously there'll be a lot of spoilers out there. I won't do spoilers on Wednesday, but, I'm very curious about Sami Zayn. I really want to see what happens with Sami Zayn. So, all right. Let's get into a couple of shout-outs. Clone Force 99 says, you can't believe it's been 19 years since Chris Benoit's death. It is crazy. Anyone out there, not trying to make this about us, but if anybody out there wants to have if you've never heard it before, we did an episode of the Minority Report the night that we learned that Chris Benoit did what he did. Remember, that Raw was a tribute to Benoit. We always went live right after Raw. I've been doing that since 2003. And we did a 4-hour podcast. And I had to put a disclaimer up on that show like a couple of days later because we opened the show paying tribute to Chris Benoit. And as the show went on, news was coming out. Halfway through the show, we realized that he did what he did to his family and himself. By the end of the show, we were spitting on his grave and he wasn't even buried yet. It's a real surreal episode because everything is happening in real time. And you'll hear people calling in, some names you might find familiar. Someone is still convinced that one of the persons was Tony Khan. Didn't go by the name Tony Khan at the time, but kind of sounds like Tony Khan. And Tony Khan used to frequent message boards and called, wrestling shows and hotlines, but don't think it was him. I want to make that clear. But what's weird about it is we were trying to understand why he did what he did. And I have my speculation as far as why he did what he did to Nancy. And the weird thing about it is 19 years later, my view has not changed. From that night, my original thought, it never wavered. I still feel exactly the same way 19 years later why he did what he did. That discussion is for a different night, but go check out that episode. June 25th, 2007, I believe it was. Go check out our show, The Minority Report. Just go to Spotify, go to my channel and just type in Benoit and look for June 25th, 2007. You'll hear our show in real time as we learned everything we learned. So, Brooklyn Pete, what did I think of the Oval Cage at Forbidden Door? Someone actually emailed me a picture of it earlier today. I like it. I mean, it gets a little confusing when you get into the corners of that cage, and it does eliminate like two sides where you could really run because it could turn like into a bad cartoon. I'm fine with it. It kind of gives me a little bit of, like, you look at octagons and, it doesn't remind me of TNA when you used to have the 6-sided ring. Like, it doesn't look out of place. I kind of like it. I don't know why it was needed to change it, but I guess they wanted that unique look, but I thought it was fine. I don't think they should bring it out all that often, and I don't think that should be an annual tradition, but I liked it. I think it was good. I had no issue really with it at all. So thank you for that. Ronnie, I addressed you earlier that Raw was on 2 hours early today because they're taping SmackDown because of the 4th of July holiday. Steve Joseph, oh, thank you. He sent a super chat clarifying that as well. So thank you, Steve. Yes, they taped SmackDown right after Raw. And again, if you want to be spoiled, go online. Go check out your usual news source. I'm sure there's a lot of spoilers out there, especially Northeast. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of fellow New Yorkers and New Jerseyans sending me details. So I will check out the spoilers, but I won't discuss it. Again, really curious about Sammy. Jermaine Reyes. Thank you, Jermaine. Any chance of Brock versus Oba main events night 1 of SummerSlam? Brock and Oba shake hands at the end of the match, same way he did with Cody at SummerSlam. I don't think I want to see that because Hell in a Cell is evil. Hell in a Cell, you want to hurt someone. And I don't like the kumbaya afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, I get it to, an extent in some feuds, you earn someone's respect. You know, I don't think Oba disrespects. I don't think Oba disrespects Brock, and I don't think Brock disrespects Oba. I think, you know, and listen, people read between the lines. Oba is definitely getting the rub from Brock. Brock is passing the torch. That's what's going on right now. Brock Lesnar is passing the torch. A couple of years ago, we thought he was passing the torch in some way to Omos, but WWE had no intentions on pushing Omos like that. But Oba Femi, you know, a lot of people, you know, think of Goldberg vibes with the chant and the aura about him. I think Oba still is trying to find his character, because if you listen closely when he cuts some of his promos, he comes off like a dick sometimes. I mean, I'm just being honest. He comes off like a dick. Just go check back and watch Raw tonight. The fans are chanting his name and they're doing the whole thing. All right, settle down. Like, it sounds like a heel, like talking down on you. Like I'm expecting, shut up. Like, I don't even know what I sound like, but if you listen to him closely, like, he doesn't know how to, like, to politely or take it in and soak it in. Like, all right, tone it down. All right, you know, I'm expecting, keep quiet. So, but no, I don't want to see a sign of respect after Hell in a Cell. Want to do it later on? A couple of months later, 6 months later, a year later, they bump into each other. Something happens on TV and there's a face-to-face. Okay, fine. No issue with that. But right now, I want to see violence. I want to feel hatred. It's not about white versus black. Some people are trying to put that. No, it's just two monsters. This is like Godzilla versus fucking whoever you want to put in there. King Kong versus Godzilla. And I don't want mutual respect afterwards. I mean, if they just beat each other to a pulp and they're both physically fucking exhausted, I still don't want to see. I don't want to see the hand in the air, hug. No. You know, this is anger. This is, you know, hatred. Down the line, yes. But right now, I don't think I want to see that. If it happens, I'm sure if the vibe is right, we'll be good with it. But it's like, I just think of, I'm not trying to compare it to, but I think of Gunther and Pat McAfee. Like, it just, there was all this hatred and all this, and then after, you know, like, giving, you know, props to each other, like, oh no. You know, too many people do that these days. Even when the Vision would be an absolute assholes, even Logan Paul has had to adapt to it. If you listen to Logan Paul, he'll trash his opponents, but they'll be like, there's no denying that you are a future Hall of Famer or you have had an illustrious career. And then he'll put himself on, like, I hate when people do that. WWE does that with everyone. Even Liv Morgan with Iyo Sky tonight. You know, it's like, I had respect for you, and you know, like, there's no doubt that you've earned this and this and that, but, there's always a but. Everybody does that. I hate, if you hate someone and you don't like them, don't compliment them at all. I'm not going to sit here if I'm competing with another podcast and I think the guy's a fucking asshole. I'm not going to say it. There's no denying that you know, are really good at what you do, and you're a fake. You're a clickbaiter. If you were a woman, you'd be showing your nipples right now if you could. Like, you do anything to get a hit. I mean, that's fake. I don't turn around and show mutual respect. If I have mutual respect for someone, even though I'm competing with them, I'll show respect. But I'm not going to sit here and throw in nice compliments and then throw an insult after. I hate when WWE does that, and they do it 99% of the time. So we shall see. Jim Khan, thank you very much. He first saw Joe Doring in All Japan in the Triple Crown matches fighting big guys. Yeah, I mean, he definitely got more of a presence in All Japan. TNA was kind of like, it wasn't a big name in TNA, like he did a little bit, like 05, 06, I think. I don't have my notes in front of me, but, you know, when he went to All Japan, you would hear his name come up a lot. especially you got to remember too, if you remember, and I'm not making it about us, but if you remember when we were still doing our shows at the time, Minority Report and DTKC after, you had American wrestlers who went to Japan and would publicly admit that they bring our shows and listen to our shows while they're in Japan. So anytime we heard American wrestlers competing in Japan, we were always a little bit extra interested. I'm not saying that he ever tuned into what we did, but there were quite a few that did. So it was always, you were always paying a little extra attention for Japanese wrestling. And I know that's kind of shallow, that we paid attention more because some people tune into our show, but we always would pay a little extra attention to see who's working in Japan. But, still 44 years old, man. Just awful. And, props to TNA tribute, props to AEW. I did not see WWE. Did anyone in the chat, did WWE say anything? I don't recall them. I know they didn't put a graphic up, but I don't recall. Maybe somebody on social media did for them, but I didn't see anything. Yeah, some was saying in the chat that they didn't. Jim Kahn says the cage match was the most insane cage match. Did not go through the rhythms, added some extra craziness. Loved it. Yeah, listen, one thing about Tony Khan, he puts the trust in the wrestlers, sometimes too much trust. And lately he's been dodging. He's been playing a lot of Russian roulette with some matches. Not often, but, he would let wrestlers do what they want to do because he trusts them as the professional. Like, we know your limitations. We know that you're not going to do something, this and that. Plus, when you're doing a spot with another wrestler, there has to be a trust factor there. And a lot of the people that are working with each other in that match, there is a trust factor. And when you could trust your opponent that, they're not going to do something that they really shouldn't, I mean, it's still extremely risky. But when you're doing something that, that's within your boundaries and you have experience, they trust you, but you don't want someone doing something simply because they always wanted to do it. We just had a fun thing on Patreon Thursday. And when Bully Ray used to call me out, if you remember all that debacle and everything, I used to joke around. I'd be like, that motherfucker don't want nothing to do with me. Him, Maven, fucking all these others. If they ever fucking stepped in the ring with me, I will fucking put them in the hospital. And I mean that to this day. If Bully Ray or anyone else ever fucking went into the ring with me, I would put their fucking asses in the hospital. You know why? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. and I'm saying I had to put I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You stick your hand out and I'll somehow, unfortunately, accidentally, break it. You're like, I'm not violent and I can't kick their asses, but I'm so clueless. I'll hurt somebody. I'll drop you on your head, not even realize it. Was I supposed to do that? Oh, I didn't realize it's supposed to be your foot. You want to be in the ring. That's why I don't do shit like that. I don't even attempt to because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. You don't want people out there that, I always saw that on TV. I want to do it. Let's do it. No. And that's why you see how everything is crazy, but no one seems to get seriously injured. They trust their boundaries. Even though I think sometimes you got to reel some people in. I think sometimes Tony Khan is going to be like, all right, yeah, you got to, let's pull this back a little bit. So, thank you for that. So, let's recap Raw, and we shall start bringing this home. And remember, we'll finish up with talking about Jey. Look at that look on his face. That look is directly towards you. You doubted me. You doubted me. Everybody doubted me. You ever hear him on his interviews now? He even said it on his interview. He doubted me. I'm like, motherfucker, he's got to be listening. We're the only one. He doubted me. She doubted me. Every time we do our Red Fox thing, he doubted me. Now he says it in every fucking interview when he wants to diss the fans. You all doubted me. So we'll share that at the very end. All right. Just to quickly recap Raw. We had Oba Femi come out, and he's touting his King of the Ring victory. crowd is going nuts. He's got the crown in hand. And all of a sudden, you got Brock Lesnar. Whoo! He comes out there with Paul Heyman. Nice to see Paul Heyman back, by the way. Probably no catheter in his arm this time around. And Brock Lesnar, basically tells Oba, hey, talk shit, get hit. And I guarantee you the Saudi fans and the Crown Prince Brock was supposed to be in our country. You couldn't do this Saturday. You had to do it today. Could have Brock come out after Oba won on Saturday. So Brock comes out. He gets physical with Oba Femi. Brock Lesnar wants a match at SummerSlam, wants Hell in a Cell. Oba sees Adam Pearce. And we get a quote that really pisses me off. The title is always going to be there. The championships are not going anywhere. I'll take that when I want it. But basically, Oba is saying, I don't need the title right now. I want to fight Brock, Hell in a Cell. So that's what we're getting. So we don't know, does he forfeit his King of the Ring? Does Adam Pearce suddenly wake up later on? Poof, you still have your title shot. You know what? I'm going to let you have your title shot. At the SummerSlam, at the Saturday night's main event, at New Year's Day. He can do that whenever he wants. Especially now that Adam Pearce is going to be the GM for Raw and SmackDown. You could end up having Oba Femi challenge Sami Zayn for the championship down the line. I don't know if anybody's thought about that at all. But down the line, you could have Oba Femi be the one to dethrone Sami Zayn as the undisputed WWE champion. Do not take that thought out of your mind. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But Adam Pearce is now going to be the GM for Raw and SmackDown while Nick Aldis is on administrative leave. Could Adam Pearce allow Oba Femi to fight Sami Zayn at Saturday night's main event or a different night? Yes, if you're enjoying the show, take a moment, hit the thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. I'd like for these shows to get bigger. The bigger they get, the more bills that could be paid, the more incentive to have more nights that my ass is numb as fuck so we could do more of these live streams. Time is money, but I absolutely love doing this. So if you take a moment, throw that thumbs up, it'd be very much appreciated. And it's free. And you can only do it once, too. Talk shit, get hit. Hell in a Cell is on. Definitely fine. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention this during the show today. How do you all feel? 1 year of Roxanne Perez in the Judgment Day. I think today might be the 1 year anniversary of Roxanne Perez in the Judgment Day. Just a little random comment. Rey Mysterio beat Ethan Page. We're not sometimes thrilled with WWE's recent usage of the Rusev and the Ethan Page. They are becoming the ones you want to see. You want to see them perform, but you want to see them lose more than they win. And that's what's happening. I'm not concerned for Ethan Page. Rusev, though, I don't know, man. I don't know. Joe Hendry comes out there, and we find out today, we're getting a concert. Okay, we're not going to get Paul. Can we fire Logan Paul? That's played out already. So now what do we do now? Oh, I get it. Let's talk trash about Austin Theory. He starts doing a concert with the Street Profits in the ring. And yeah, he's throwing insults to the Vision, but he talks shit about Austin Theory. And he's cracking jokes about how Austin Theory's never been the same since Cena, basically Cena put him in his place. Austin Theory's never been the same since. And it's fine and entertaining, and I get it. That sets up the match tonight, and Joe Hendry beat Austin Theory. But if I remember correctly, didn't Austin Theory beat John Cena at WrestleMania to retain the Intercontinental Championship or something like that, or the U.S. title? But he won. It was just, I don't know. It's all right, just do a concert, piss off someone, leads to a match. Joe Hendry got the win. It was a decent match. Joe Hendry could work, but we were kind of worried that it was going to come to this. Remember that. We said that like 6 weeks ago. I said, I don't know, man. I think a year from now, Joe Hendry's not there. Unless he's one of those that, pay us, bitch. You want to stay here. I don't see TKO and WWE Creative really putting the momentum. I mean, he's an entertaining guy. Fans like him. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. Like Danhausen, I'm convinced Danhausen makes very little money. I'm not saying, just give me a sandwich and give me 45 monies. I'm good. Like, I don't think he's stupid. I mean, I don't think Danhausen would sit there and say, I'll take $300, 300 in the monies. I think he gets paid decent, but I don't think he gets paid remotely the amount that some people think. I think he is killing it in merchandise. I think he is making up for it in the merchandise department, but I think he is making, the lower end of 6 digits. I would be shocked if it's more than like 200,000 or 300,000 a year. And that's a lot. But he's their mascot. Danhausen is officially WWE's mascot. And that's not a bad thing. Not everybody should be, someone that has to work 7 minutes, 12 minutes every single week in the ring. You do a little occasionally here and there. That's enough for fans. And as long as they keep buying his merchandise, they're going to keep him around. So basically, Danhausen will come up a little bit later on. Raquel Rodriguez is with Adam Pearce. She wants a shot at the Intercontinental Championship. She's obviously not going to go after Liv's belt. And Adam Pearce says, you got to go through Maxxine Dupri first. Okay. No threat there, obviously. Liv Morgan shows up with Roxy. Liv is mentioning what's going on with Iyo Sky, and Raquel's like, don't worry about it, I got your back. So Iyo Sky comes out to the ring. She puts her crown on, and this is the visual of what we ended up with tonight. Iyo puts the crown on. She's happy. She won Queen of the Ring. She looks great with the crown. She's celebrating. She's happy. It still blows me away. A year and a half ago, Kevin and I used to call her Grumpy Cat. You go back a year and a half ago, it'll blow you away. I mean, you would have, I'm not saying that she's on meds, but you would have thought, man, she was off her meds a year and a half ago. Grumpy Cat, Grumpy Cat, Grumpy Cat. You ever hear about that country or that state where it's dark like 5 months in a row? Like there's no sunlight at all? That's basically, if you could put that in a human being, that was Iyo Sky a year and a half ago, before WrestleMania. She was Grumpy Cat. Something changed. And it's a beautiful thing. She is over. So she's celebrating. Liv comes out there, starts throwing a lot of shade Iyo Sky's way. Liv blames her loss because she got cursed from Danhausen, whatever. She doesn't respect Iyo anymore, and Io's starting to piss her off. And next thing we know, Raquel and Roxanne Perez surround the ring. And at first it looks like a bad cartoon because Iyo somehow knocks Roxy and Raquel off the ring and they just disappear. But ultimately, it would be a 3-on-1. No one came out to make the save. Not even Sal Ruka, who Raquel called out earlier. She wants a title. But they left Iyo laying, and they're working on the leg a little bit too, which is interesting because I wonder if in that match, Iyo goes for the moonsault and somehow the leg gives out. I don't know if that's where they're leading with this, but it was interesting because after they left her laying and the officials showed up, if you watch it closely, Liv is walking out of the ring. And somebody must have yelled to her and said, stand over her and pose. So Liv is walking out of the ring. She pauses, she stops, and she goes back, stands over Iyo and lifts the belt up for that picture moment. And it was a good shot, but you could tell like she almost forgot, and somebody must have told her, no, stand over her, but hold the belt up in the air. It's kind of that moment. Remember when Brock did that? I don't remember who it was for, but Brock told someone like stand on, put your foot on me. Like come over here, like stand over me. Like that's a big deal. It's a visual. And the visual was that the Judgment Day stood over Iyo Sky. But again, nobody came to Iyo Sky's aid. So she was laid out. This was kind of like a wet fart, if we're being honest. LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso, a rematch. Why? So it could be 1-1, so we can get another fucking match next week, probably. Jey Uso's at ringside. Jey Uso's trying to be like a tough bitch. Like he's trying to be really tough on the mic. You know, I can't explain it, but it's like intentionally trying to be like extra tough. I mean, I get it. Jimmy's in the ring with LA Knight, but, you know, there's dissension there with LA Knight and Jey Uso, but just a little bit too tough on the mic. It sounds fake. But during the match, you knew was going to happen. Because they're trying to tease a Solo Sikoa LA Knight alliance, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, which we've talked about so many times in the past. Basically, what ends up happening is LA Knight is outside the ring with Jimmy Uso, and he teases that he's going to throw Jimmy into Jey. Jey sees it coming, and he thinks he's smart. So Jey turns around, and when he turns back to look at LA Knight kicks him in the head. So, you know, there's going to be a little revenge on there. So a few moments later, LA Knight goes for the elbow, and then Jey distracts LA Knight. LA Knight turns around, looks at Jey. Jimmy Uso rolls him up. Why would LA Knight be pissed? You're the one that kicked Jey Uso in the head. Jey Uso now distracted you. And because of it, you got rolled up. So what ends up happening, LA Knight cheap shots Jimmy Uso after the match is over. They get into a little bit of a brawl. Then Jey Uso takes over, and Jey Uso and LA Knight are going at it. And Jimmy's on the opposite side of the ring. And out of nowhere, here comes Solo Sikoa. Hits a Samoan spike on Jimmy Uso and runs off. And LA Knight is acting like, you know, surprised, and he's annoyed. And like, I don't know. It's just a hot mess, in my honest opinion. And especially a few moments later, we had the segment with the Usos in the back with Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu is like, I'm going to go to SmackDown and finish this with Solo. And then Jey declares that he's going to be the first challenger for Sami Zayn's championship. He's going to challenge him for the Undisputed Championship. And then I was thinking about it after. I'm like, what if that match doesn't happen this week on SmackDown? What if Jey challenges him for SummerSlam? I hope that doesn't happen, because that'll piss people off even more. Like, wait, he lost the King of the Ring tournament. Why is he getting a championship match anyway? Especially the conversation we opened up the show with. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if Jey Uso ends up challenging Sami for the championship at SummerSlam after all of this? I don't think it's going to happen, but we got a Saturday night's main event somewhere sprinkled in all of this. So maybe Saturday night's main event. Maybe. I don't know if we could call her heel Lyra or maniac Lyra, or if you just want to call her makeupless Lyra. But Lyra looks like a fucking maniac cutting a promo. She doesn't understand why everybody's upset. She's been the better person for the past year. You think back everything that would happen. And she said she's not going to lose sleep over what happened. In fact, it felt good. She feels good that she broke away from Bayley. So I think we're going to get Bayley versus Lyra at SummerSlam. I think that kind of makes sense. You remember, SummerSlam's 2 nights this year. So we're probably going to get 14 matches. 12 to 14 matches. Minimum. 12 absolute minimum. I think 14 is more in line of what we should get. But Lyra, you know, coming off as a maniac. And she's good as a heel. There is footage out there of her being a bitch. She could definitely do it. And Bayley is so beloved. You know, I just, that's why I never liked the bipolar stuff. Remember we used to call her Baypolar? Instead of bipolar, we call her Baypolar, like Bayley, Baypolar. But Lyra, you know, looking like a maniac right now. She looks like she hasn't slept. Honestly, what I would have done was I would have put a little makeup on her eyes, so it just looked like she hasn't slept in a week. But she looks like a maniac. She looks like a psycho. So, Maxxine Dupri sees Chad Gable, and this stuff I did not like at all. Maxxine meant everything that she said last week, but she apologized how she went about it. Chad Gable says, you don't need to apologize. You know, he's the one that should be apologizing, but he said, concentrate on your match tonight. So what ends up happening a short time after, well, Raquel Rodriguez beats her in about 4 minutes. The reason why I chose this screenshot, I think Raquel Rodriguez should use the torture rack as her finisher. I think she would actually do really fucking great using the torture. I don't have any problem with the Tejada bomb, but if I'm Raquel Rodriguez, I would seriously consider using the torture rack as a finisher. I just love the way it looks, the way she could hold it, especially her height, and she's so strong. I think she should change her finisher. I don't know if you all agree, but I saw that tonight, and I'm like, that should be a finisher. So she loses. And then to make it worse, we get this. Maxxine is iced up. Austin Theory shows up. He questions Maxxine Dupri about what you said to Chad Gable. And she responds and says, Chad is complicated. And Austin Theory says, well, if you're going to go back down that road, then maybe this isn't working out. What the fuck does that mean? If she's trying out to be in the Vision, you would think that Austin Theory and the Vision's first requirement would be get rid of Tozawa, get rid of Otis, kick him to the curb. But when he said that, I'm like, is this supposed to be a relationship? Or is this like a tryout to be in the group, the Vision? The way he said it, like, because she was nice to Chad Gable, Austin Theory's like, maybe this isn't working out. I was like, that's stupid. I mean, like, it doesn't even make sense if you think about it. And the funny thing is, like, I'm looking at Austin Theory's look as he's saying this, and all I keep seeing is that horrendous segment with Paul Heyman. I think about last week losing the tag titles. I think about him not even getting involved in the Night of Champions, and then giving this weird ultimatum to Maxxine Dupri. I'm like, I don't know, man. It kind of feels like, are they like setting you up to be released? It just, I don't know. I saw that segment today and I hated it. I just like, it doesn't make sense. Like, because she was nice to someone, but yet Austin Theory has no problems with Tozawa and Otis. Really stupid, man. My favorite match of the night, Chad Gable beating JD McDonagh. This was the end result of everything that happened. Yeah, you see a suitcase being opened with a whole bunch of money in it and a shitload of baby powder as well. Here's basically what happened. We had an amazing match with JD McDonagh and Chad Gable. They tore it up for about 12 minutes. I mean, really tore it up. Crowd was chanting, this is awesome. Dominic's at ringside with Danhausen's Nick jersey. Earlier, we saw Danhausen in the back very frustrated that somebody trashed his laboratory. Liv shows up and she reveals the Judgment Day did that. And that's for stealing Dominic's money and this and that. And they stole his jersey. And, you know, she's throwing threats to Danhausen. It was interesting because this week, I think it was the first week they think Danhausen looked like a fool. But he would get the last laugh because we get this tremendous match. Dom's at ringside trying to get involved here and there, but still in an insane match. And there was an insane moment where they hit the Spanish fly off the top rope. And these guys were tearing it up. As I'm watching it, I'm saying to myself, did they just drop the electrocution thing? Because there was no signs of any after effects from the electrocution. So what ends up happening, Danhausen shows up at ringside. Dom sees him and basically tries to run off. Danhausen's teasing he's got his money. Obviously, you saw the suitcase. You see it right now. So after having a spectacular 10 to 14-minute match, 12-minute match, Dom runs off chasing Danhausen, and suddenly JD McDonagh cares like that Dom's not at ringside. So JD McDonagh looks the other way. Dom, where are you? So next thing you know, Chad Gable puts the ankle lock. JD taps out. Chad gets the win. But then after the match is over, JD McDonagh and Dom see the suitcase in the corner. And they open it up, and there's a little explosion and a ton of paper. If anybody's ever seen those videos with the package bombs, you ever see those glitter bombs with the scammers? Like they try to set up package thieves. So they'll put like a little camera, they'll put fart spray in the box and everything, you know, and you hear like the clip from Home Alone. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen those videos where like somebody steals a package from somebody's porch, like a porch pirate, and they bring it home and they open the box up, and then you see like the people actually stole the package, and all of a sudden you hear like a little sound, and then you see a spray and like something doesn't smell right. And then next thing you know, poof, glitter everywhere. And people do that on purpose. That's pretty much what this was. This was set up as like one of those porch pirate package bombs, but when they opened it up, a bunch of baby powder exploded. So now we wonder, is this the weekly thing now? Last week, JD was electrocuted. This week, he was blinded by the baby powder. What happens to Kenny next week? Good segment, but I kind of wish they would have done more. But again, we're in 2026 and you're not doing Tourette's. You're not making fun of Tourette's. Oh my God, you could imagine those X accounts. My son has Tourette's, and I think that is disgusting that you're turning it into comedy. It is not funny when my son just out of nowhere says, dick, 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 cunt, cunt, mom, bitch, 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 bitch. Like, you can't do comedy like that. All right, so we wrap it up. Roman Reigns in the ring. Jacob Fatu looking like a lowly pimp. He's just standing there. Roman Reigns, acknowledge me. New Jersey, acknowledge me. And it's the rinse and repeat. And before you know it, Seth Rollins' music hits. And you know exactly where this is going immediately. Seth Rollins looking extremely serious, extremely professional. And Seth Rollins hits the ring, and we had the face-off. And as we said earlier, Seth Rollins is basically mentioning their past. No Moxley chants or anything like that, but Moxley will eventually have to be brought up. They broke into the business together, sort of. They obviously ran roughshod. They chased out a lot of the old generation. And they were very hungry. They made a lot of history. But they're getting older. And Seth Rollins, again, you know people are going to clickbait it, but he's teasing that we're closer to the end than we were at the beginning. This might be your only shot, Roman. This might be your last shot. And the whole setup for today, perfectly done. Seth Rollins saying, you've never beaten me. You've never beaten me. I mean, Seth puts over all the WrestleManias that Roman has main evented. He says that no one will top that. That's yet to be seen. But also, Roman is a first ballot Hall of Famer, could have a show all for himself. Seth would even consider inducting him. But Roman will never be able to escape the fact that he has never beaten Seth Rollins. Seth wants that championship. You're in possession of something that is mine, and it's time for me to collect. Seth wants that championship, and in return, Roman gets the opportunity to lift that big weight over his shoulders, and that is the fact that he has never beaten Seth Rollins. There's been a lot of goofy challenges over the years, and somebody accepts. Sometimes, as we joked earlier, somebody won't accept for a month. And then he'll just say something dumb and then, oh yeah, I'll fight you. Like, you're just like, oh, come on, man, that's dumb. Like, you know, you want, like, sometimes the challenges are accepted too quickly. Sometimes they're accepted too late. Sometimes the reasons are dumb. Sometimes you feel it's very one-sided. Here, this feels very even because Roman puts his championship on the line and Roman has the opportunity to eliminate something that's been held over him for years and years, and that is he's never beaten Seth Rollins. So in return, if he still can't beat Seth Rollins, Rollins gets his championship back. So if there's any negative about what we had tonight, yeah, Seth lost in the tournament, should not get the championship match. All right, I get it. But the only thing, if I had to criticize it at all, is I feel Seth made it way too obvious. He has to lose this match because everything that he said made sense and it was correct. Even Roman made a remark. He says, it's been a long time, little brother, that I've heard anything true come out of your mouth. Because Seth's been filled with lies for a long time. So Roman even acknowledged that mostly what Seth said tonight is true. And all Roman had to do is accept. And he did. And this match is official. So no controversy, no issues with Jacob Fatu, no interference, nobody coming out disturbing it. The Usos were not there with them in the ring. This was straight up two people with legitimate reasons to face each other. Yes, very out of nowhere, because this should have happened a long time ago. But make no mistake about it, there's been a lot of buzz for a while now that Roman versus Seth was the proposed match for SummerSlam, and I'm glad they're doing it. I absolutely did not want to see Oba versus Roman. Way too early. I think at minimum, Oba winning a world championship next year. Next year, not now. I don't care what kind of momentum. You know why I say that also, and I think a lot of you will agree with me? Oba really should not be losing matches right now. Brock, different story. Oba lost nothing by losing to Brock. Outside of Brock, who is he going to lose to? Maybe Roman. You could, if Cody was still champ. Like, you look at that roster up and down, he should be losing to no one. If he becomes world champion right now, his matches would be so one-sided that how do you set him up to fail when it is time to lose that championship? And you don't want him having a 1-year, 2-year run and he's just running over people. You know, at some point, the matches have to be a little more competitive. They just can't be 5-6 minutes. I deleted the match time for their match at Night of Champions. I'll pull it up again, but I could swear it was probably around 7 minutes. And even that 7 minutes, you look at it, and there was a lot of like a little bit of time spent outside of the ring. Yeah, I just pulled up my notes again. Their match was, I'll tell you right now. Let's see. Here it is. Their match was 8 minutes, even. Exactly 8 minutes. And yeah, there was some time that was eaten up. It wasn't just straight up nonstop 8 minutes, but it's got to go a little bit longer sooner or later. And right now, you're not going to tack on a bunch of losses to Oba Femi. So you put the championship on him too early. You know, you got to have that suspension of disbelief that someone could be a threat. Right now, everybody just wants to see Oba kick everybody's ass. That's why even more of a reason you don't put the world championship on him right now. Because if he just plows through everyone, what's left? WWE doesn't have that kind of roster anymore where you have 15 people in a list that you could line up and say, hey, this guy's set for the next 2 years. We could have this person, then we could segue to this person, then we could do this person, this one. You look at, like I said, closing this show out, you look at Sami Zayn. Like, who's his first opponent? Like, if Jey Uso challenges him, and then what? You're like, sure, you could possibly have CM Punk, but I don't feel CM Punk is going to win the championship back. Like, you certainly realize, all right, maybe Cody has a rematch with Sami, but after that, what is it? Where is it? You know, you don't have that big, long list that you could just pick a name and say, all right, let's go with it for the next month or two. You know, having a title is great. What you do with it is a challenge. And it's not Sami's fault. It wasn't Cody's fault. It's not Gunther's fault. It's not CM Punk's fault. It's not Roman's fault. It's WWE Creative and what they do with these titles. Roman won the championship at WrestleMania, and look at what he's done. WrestleMania was in April. We're already in July. We're 3 months afterwards. And outside of Jacob Fatu, I mean, really, what much of anything is there? There's literally, look at even like people like Stephanie Vaquer. She lost at WrestleMania. Yeah, well-deserved time off. CM Punk, well-deserved time off. Drew McIntyre, well-deserved time off. You know, there's some that well-deserved time off, but what do you do when you bring them back? That's the thing also. You bring Stephanie Vaquer back. What's her first move? What does she do? Is she going to feud with Liv again? You know, is she going to challenge Sol Ruca? Like, you suddenly realize, okay, they've kind of already gone through Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez. So it's either you got to rinse and repeat and do Liv again, or, you know, what's she going to do? Feud with Maxxine Dupri? So you realize it's not as easy as it looks. Drew McIntyre went to do a movie, okay. But even if he wasn't doing a movie right now and you brought him back, what would he do? Would he be Sammy's first pick? Like, if his first feud, and then you have Drew jobbing again? Like, it's not as easy as it sounds. Like, even CM Punk, when people were complaining about CM Punk being off TV, you heard what I said multiple times. All right, bring him back right now. What does he do? What does he do? Oh, he should get a rematch with Roman Reigns. Oh, really? You think they're going to rehash Roman Reigns versus him? Now, Cody lost the championship. What do you do on SmackDown? You realize bringing someone back is fine. What you do with them is another story. So that is the challenge. That's why I'm glad they're doing Seth and Roman. And I'm glad Oba is not fighting for a title. So no, I don't see Oba working 2 matches at SummerSlam. I think the King of the Ring might be treated a little bit more like a Money in the Bank, that, you know, maybe Adam Pearce allows Oba to cash in. And listen, if Oba fights the right opponent, fans are not going to care. Well, he was supposed to cash in at SummerSlam. All right, well, he's cashing in September. It's not was supposed to, so? You know what I mean? Like, I really, if the match that they decide to do is good, are you going to complain? So, you know, I will leave you with this. We opened up talking about it. WWE is getting very sloppy with storylines and continue, you know, they're just like continuing, and there's structure. And there's a reason why you do a tournament. And there's a reason why the tournament outcome leads to this. You know, when you have baseball, you know, you have the playoffs, you have a wild card, and the winner of the wild card goes to the American League Division Series. And the winner of that division series goes on to the American League Championship Series. And the winner of that then goes on to the World Series. You can't turn around and say, the winner of the wild card gets, you know, and then turn around, they win the wild card, and then you're like, no, we're going to go with this person instead. I know it's a bad comparison, but there's a reason why you have tournaments. There's a reason why there's structure. There's a reason why there's rules. There's a reason why there's brackets. There's a reason why, matches, people win and they lose. And when you keep pushing this signal that somebody loses, gets it anyway, and somebody wins, ends up not getting it, and you keep doing that over and over again, and you realize, like, why did you even put this person in here in the first place? Why did Seth need to lose the tournament at all? Seth could have won the tournament and challenged Roman. Oba could have been eliminated from Brock earlier on, and Oba could have ended up, again, we know the reason why, because they wanted Oba in the marquee match. But you realize that you're doing a marquee match where you know that you're going to shade, asterisk the outcome. Because when you get to a final, you want to feel like somebody came to the final. When you think of King of the Ring, I always remember Bam Bam Bigelow. When you have someone win match after match after match after match, and you get to the final where you're going to achieve something, and then you win it, and then you're not getting it, or you lose it and you're getting it anyway. I think that diminishes the importance of the stipulation, the tournament, whatever it is. When people start thinking in their mind, so what if he loses the tournament? He'll get the match anyway. I don't really care who wins, because they can do whatever they want anyway. You start having that attitude with a lot of people, that's when you start turning people off. And WWE has been doing that a lot. Why they're getting away with it is because the matches that follow, people are fine with. That's why they're getting away with it. But the next time you do King of the Ring, the next time you do something, the next time you do this, you do a shitty finish, you do this, people start remember that. And people will start thinking like, I'm not going to put any weight on that. They're going to do what they want anyway. And, I don't think that's a good idea. So, all right. My voice is about to go. I'm going to jet because we're at 2.5 hours. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I know we're a little early today because of Raw. I'll tell you the truth. It's still 11:15 here at night. So I am finishing late, but it's much better than it being 1:15 in the morning. So, I kind of wish WWE would have more Raws at 6 o'clock. I don't do this often, but if you want, post in the comment section after. Do you like Raw being on at 6 instead of 8? Do you like that it's on an extra hour or two early? Because I'll be honest with you, I actually, 6 I think was cutting it close for me, because I came home from work at 5. So I came home and it was like, let me throw something to eat quickly and, get my notes together. And, I definitely wanted to go live right after Raw. I didn't want to wait till later tonight. But I think the sweet spot might be 7 o'clock. I think 7 to 9:30 is pretty damn reasonable for a Monday Night Raw. That hour actually is a big difference. It's a big deal for me. I mean, I don't know, but let me know what you think. So, how do you all feel about these matches going into SummerSlam? I think they're solid. Let's see what other matches come out of it. But I will be back Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. We will pick up where we leave off. We'll get into all the new news. We'll get into the weekend ratings and some other stuff. And then back to the same routine. Thursday, I'll be live on Patreon, patreon.com/DonTony. The next history episode will drop on Saturday. And then Sunday, we'll be back on a sit-down. Again, I'm sorry for anybody that was expecting a sit-down yesterday. My original plan was to go. But when I started talking to enough of you, and most of you were like, yeah, you're better off just taking it off. I'm glad I did, because I was able to dedicate a lot of focus on the other shows, and I was able to watch about 95% of all the shows. As far as all the shows, I mean, Forbidden Door was the best one of them all because of the amount that they gave you. I thought NXT should not have been on at all. I thought TNA had the nicest flow, where you didn't feel exhausted after, but you felt like you got enough. I hate WWE doing the first hour on ESPN. I hate it with a passion. I watch it on Netflix with a VPN, so I don't deal with ESPN at all. But the idea that you're putting matches on ESPN as an advertisement to get people to sign up for the regular membership, I hate that, because now you're putting matches. Look at the recap today. I'll leave you with this. Look at the recap from Monday Night Raw when they talked about Night of Champions. Sammy obviously was the last thing they talked about, but what was the next to last thing they talked about? The King and the Queen of the Ring. Those matches should not have been the openers. I hate that they're doing some of these matches simply to try to get people to sign up for ESPN, because it just really screws up the flow of the show. You know, you just my opinion. Maybe you don't feel that way, but all right. Seth, you can leave my screen. I will exit the screen as well, and I will definitely catch you all again next week. So thank you as always for your support. Much love, and I'll talk to you all again very soon. Be well.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't.
Holy shit. I fucked up. We're not done yet. We're not done. How can I not close this out with this motherfucker? Jey Uso. Eat that of me. All right. We got to close out with Jey Uso. He did an interview with Jackie Redmond to open up Night of Champions. Obviously, he's being in character with the bloodline, but you could tell some of it is obviously gotten to him as far as the criticism goes. You know, if you remember when we covered the history show last week, or 2 weeks ago, you realize that a month into his world championship reign last year, WWE already was figuring out how Gunther was going to take the belt off him. You had Wade Barrett and Michael Cole and others trying to convince you that Jey Uso was one of the most over guys in that company. And yes, for the live fans, absolutely. But there was also a huge audience that was just not liking what they were seeing. Nothing personal, but people didn't like it. And I think because Jey put so much work into it that he took it personal. And again, you go back and you look at that timeline and you remember, you know, how everything went down. If Jey was so over, especially after beating Gunther, why within a month are you already figuring out how the belt's coming off of him? So he has held that grudge ever since. And you've watched interview after interview after interview. You know, we played the one with Alfred Kanoa not too long ago, where Jay's saying, you know, like, Oos, come to the building, Oos. Just check out the vibe, Oos. And you'll see that, you know, maybe what you hear is not what's Oos. And, you know, we joked and like, yeah, are you paying for the fucking ticket? I'm not paying $400 just so I could have a whole bunch of the people all yeeting and everything like that. Like, he really took it personal. So I want you to hear there's 3 segments I want you to hear with Jackie Redmond. And I'm putting my headphones on for this because I need to hear this as well. And we'll react to it. It's 3 clips. And then the funny thing is, I think he realized that he fucked up because there is a big audience that does root for Jey Uso. And when you have this idea, man, I don't care about the fans anymore, that is fucked up. And if I'm WWE, I do not want Jey Uso, the Yeet Man, merchandise seller, you don't want hear that coming out of his mouth. But that's exactly what he did. Let's hear the first clip of what he said.
Jey Uso, what a couple years it has been for you. I mean, Royal Rumble win.
How come I don't have video? I don't know why I don't have video, but maybe we have to use audio then. Let's see. Hold on.
World Heavyweight Champion, a 9th Tag Team Championship with your brother Jimmy. I mean, we've seen so many versions of you in the last handful of years. We've seen fun-loving, Run It Back?
Yeah.
Run It Back, Jey Uso. But we've also seen a serious, maybe even sometimes angry Jey Uso. So my first question for you is, who is Jey Uso right now?
Good question, Jackie O.
Who are you?
Yeets, man, I'm confused half the time. I think right now this version of me is me, the realest form. I think I'm the most authentic, realest on the roster.
Okay.
I really go out there, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm for my family, Yeets. At the end of the day, Jackie O, family first. With me, I'm brought up that way. That way will never change me. No matter if I go Yeet Man, no matter if I win 10 world titles. I'm always show up for my family.
All right. So I don't have much of a problem with what he said there. If you really think about it, it makes a whole lot of sense. But then they talk about the fans. And here's where it becomes a big problem very, very quickly. Listen to this. Here we go.
Well, you certainly have shown your loyalty lately. So many people in the WWE universe were thrilled to see you go out and explore this universe on your own, and you do it successfully. So I think a lot of fans want to know why you've chosen to realign with Roman Reigns.
You want me to be honest?
Would I ever want you to lie to me?
Yeah, I really don't care about the fans no more. Because when I was doing my thing, they saw the hate. I can't miss it. It's all in my face. Social media, whatever it is, man. When my name pops up, I see it out there. I'm going to let y'all know. Most dislikes video on social media, on WWE social media platform. Look it up, Boost. Like 5, 6, 10 videos out there. It's all good. If anything, Jackie O, man, that thing lit a fire under me. All the noise, all the opinions, cool. It is what it is because that's part of the job. What's up?
So I think right there, I think that's where he fucked up, because you don't say I don't care about the fans anymore, because these guys are not heels, and you got a chip on your shoulder, fine. You got critics, fine. But you see that crowd when he comes out, it is still a huge pop. But that negativity online, that has gotten to him. And whether it's character or not, this is not something that WWE wants to hear. And you just heard out of his mouth, I don't care about the fans anymore. It wasn't, I don't care about my haters. He would just say, I don't care about the fans at all. At some point now, I think he realizes he fucked up, and you hear how he backtracks. But by now, it's too late. It's far too late.
You don't think you were beloved by the WWE universe?
I do. I take it back. It's 50-50, man. Like I said, I'm confused. Pulling me left and right, I talk crap. I'm me now. And on some real, my day ones know who they are. My day ones know who they are, Jackie O. But there was a lot of people who did doubt me, still doubting me right now.
He doubted me.
Still fuels you.
Yeet.
Oh my God. You heard him at the very end? Eat out of me, eat out of me, eat out of me. He's been doing that shit for 5.5 years. I got to find the clip that I shared with you guys about a year ago. I put side by side Jey Uso in 2020 and Jey Uso in 2025. And the promo was almost identical. He's been saying that for 5.5 years. And to think that he was saying that before he won the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, that's telling. But again, this is not just Jey Uso being in character. This is someone that is so angry with how much work he put in and still got that kind of hate that he's very hurt and very offended by it. And, you know, this has become the center point of his whole character. If you think about Jey Uso in 2026 right now, it's Bloodline and You Doubted Me. That's what it is. Like if he was going to turn into a solo, not Solo Sikoa, but a solo heel, then I could see it. You all turn your back on me. You stabbed me in the back. I gave everything for all of you, and all you did was just put me down. Perfect. But that's not what they're doing. This is still a babyface group, Bloodline. And you have this guy telling the WWE Universe, I don't care about the fans anymore. It took Jackie Redmond to try to reel him back in. Like, you don't really think that everybody, you are the, and then he's like, yeah, I take that back. No, you don't take it back. Your first reaction is always the most honest. And I do believe he cares about his fans who always supported him. But the frustration as to the negative part of it is something, you know, especially going into King of the Ring. If you go look at my original synopsis for last week, I wrote Jey Uso, it's very polarizing, you know, King of the Ring final. Very polarizing. And that you can't escape it. And it's just, again, you tell the fans, I don't care about the fans anymore. That is when you just broke your bond with a lot of supporters. And, you know, he fucked up. I truly believe that. And I'm not just saying it because there's things I don't like about him. I'm just saying it just in common sense. He fucked up. And I'm a little surprised if that interview was pre-recorded, that shouldn't have aired. They should have done it over. Jay, you're a hot merchandise seller. There's a shitload of people that support you. You know, there is noise out there that don't like you either, but you can't turn around and just trash everybody. You can't just, I take it back. You know, people don't look at it that way. And if this was live, which I don't think it was, but if it was live, all right, then there's no turning back. But I'm pretty sure that was pre-recorded. In fact, I'm 99% sure it was pre-recorded. You air that anyway, I think that was a huge mistake. Because you're not, put it this way, for the haters of Jey Uso, you're not making them feel any better. You're just giving them another reason to get angry more. And you're taking people that support him. And when he says, I don't care about the fans, period, you know, I guarantee you that upset a lot of people as well. So you gain nothing by that. So I'm sorry that I had to break in this way, but when I was playing the outro, I said, I know I missed something tonight. I know I missed something tonight. And I was like, shit, I did miss something tonight. So, all right, we got it. We shared it. So that was Jey Uso's comments. I don't care about the fans anymore. Be well, everybody. Much love.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. Doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.